여러분 안녕하세요. 2021년 국제기구 진출 설명회에 초대해 주셔서 감사합니다. 저는 UN 세계식량계획 WFP에 근무하고 있는 진수민 JPO입니다. 저는 프로그램 폴리시 오피서, 프로그램 정책 담당관으로 WFP 로마 본부 대응력 증대 구축 부서에서 일하고 있습니다. 본부의 역할은 저희 기구의 전반적인 단기 또한 장기 경영 전략을 세우고 이에 합당한 정책 및 가이드라인을 디자인하며 지역사무소 또는 국가사무소에 필요한 지원을 해주는 것인데 이 중에서 저는 수자원 인프라에 초점을 맞춘 이니셔티브를 담당하고 있습니다.
보시다시피 요즘은 코로나19 상황 때문에 많이 재택근무를 하고 있습니다. 오늘 사무실에는 저와 동료 한 분이신데 미팅하고 계시네요. 저는 현장에서 하는 개발협력 관련 전략 정책 플래닝 분야의 기회를 찾다가 외교부 지원의 JPO 프로그램을 통해 제 경험과 관심 분야에 맞는 기회를 보고 지원하게 되었습니다. UN 또는 국제기구에 진출하기 위해 갖춰야 할 요건은 여러 가지가 있겠는데 자세한 자격 요건 채용 방법 등은 뒤에 다양한 UN 및 국제기구 인사 담당관님들께서 설명해 주실 것입니다. 이번 설명회와 같이 각 기구의 인사 담당관님들로부터 직접 조언을 들을 수 있는 기회는 흔치 않은 것 같아요. 이런 기회에 적극 참여하시고 또 필요한 요건들을 잘 이해해서 개개인 상황에 맞게 반영하는 게 정말 중요한 것 같아요. 다만 제가 딱 한 가지를 언급할 수 있다면 저는 공감 능력 또한 공감하고자 노력하는 태도를 꼽을 것 같아요. 어떻게 보면 중요한 커뮤니케이션 스킬의 일부라고 볼 수도 있겠는데 진정으로 다른 사람을 이해하고 그 입장에서 생각해 보도록 노력하는 태도는 공감을 이끌어내는데 필수라고 생각해요. 현대 세계는 국가, 역사적 배경, 언어 또는 인종에 따른 다양성의 경계를 넘어 이제 개개인 한 사람도 다양한 문화와 배경 또 고유한 가치관을 가지고 있을 수 있는데요. 국제기구에서 협력한다는 그 다양성의 의미도 이와 함께 진화하고 있다고 생각해요. 이렇게 다양성이 더더욱이 중요시되는 시점에 협력을 이끌어내기 위해서는 공감하고자 하는 노력과 태도가 가장 기본적인 기반인 것 같습니다. 워라밸이 더욱이 중요시되는 현대사회에서 자신의 성향과 관심사 또는 인생의 목표와 부합한 직업을 찾는 것은 UN 및 국제기구에 근무하고자 하는 젊은 층에게도 매우 중요한 부분이라 생각합니다. 그러기 위해서는 다른 사람들, 국가, 또 더 나아가서는 인류를 위해 일하는 국제 공무원이 되기 전에 제일 먼저 각자 개인의 삶에 있어서 자기 자신에게 무엇이 필요한가에 대한 이해가 첫걸음이라고 생각합니다. 관심 분야의 전문기구에서의 기회를 통해 직접 현장에서의 경험은 전문 필드에서 일어나는 일에 대한 이해도를 높여줄 수 있는 좋은 기회일 뿐만이 아니라 이런 기구에서 하는 업무가 개인이 추구하는 삶, 성향, 그리고 라이프 스타일과도 잘 맞는지 어쩌면 테스팅해 볼 수 있는 좋은 기회라고 생각해요. 목표의식과 관심 분야가 아직 뚜렷하지 않더라도 우선 찾을 수 있는 기회에 도전하고 실전에서 다양한 경험을 하면서 점진적으로 방향을 찾는 방법도 좋다고 생각합니다. 인턴십, UNV, JPO 등등 대한민국 외교부가 지원해주는 많은 좋은 기회에 적극 도전할 것을 추천합니다. 올해 2021년 국제기구 진출 설명회를 통해 UN 채용 관련 유용한 정보 얻어가시길 바라고 이런 소중한 기회를 만들어주신 외교부에 감사드립니다. 멀지 않은 미래에 여러분들을 UN에서 뵙게 되길 바라겠습니다. 그럼 이제 아까 말씀드렸던 스리랑카 현장 국가사무소 이야기 전해드리겠습니다.
Hello, my name is Clara. I'm a Program Policy Officer for WFP in Colombo, Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is vulnerable to the impacts of extreme weather, where recurring climate shocks affect the lives and livelihoods of many families and threaten their food security.
WFP's work includes activities that help build resilience among communities vulnerable to climate shocks, such as drought.
The range of WFP's work in resilience building spans from piloting climate advisory development for rural communities to better natural resources planning and management. Republic of Korea, more commonly known as South Korea, was once a recipient of WFP's support. Now, as one of the major donors, the government of South Korea's continuous contribution is particularly meaningful. Its remarkable transformation from recipient to donor inspires the vulnerable communities in Sri Lanka, giving them hope for a better future. Currently at WFP Sri Lanka, South Korea through KOICA is supporting resilience building activities.
The project includes rehabilitating small to medium-sized dams, as well as establishing household-level water harvesting systems and promoting diversified livelihood activities for smallholder farmers. This is an agro-well here that we rehabilitated to enhance the agricultural activities at the household level.
As the ramifications of COVID-19 continue to unfold in the country, the government of South Korea's support extends to providing assistance in producing a maize-based supplementary food product called Riposha. With KOICA, WFP is actively supporting the government of Sri Lanka's initiatives.
WFP also supports the government in promoting home gardening with nutritious and diverse crops for home consumption. I truly believe that resilience building is a sustainable way to induce economic empowerment in vulnerable people and communities. And also this will help build towards prosperous future and leave no one behind. Together, we're saving lives and changing lives.
I'm very pleased today to join everyone to share some useful information about the UN and the job opportunities in the UN for many youth and the professionals in the Republic of Korea who are interested to have career with the United Nations, and in particular, the UN Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific, or what we call UN-APCICT. While we are in meeting today virtually due to the pandemic situation, but it also gives us an additional advantage of hopefully reaching to a wider audience. And also the flexibility that we are adapting to the hybrid working modality is the current big message for the United Nations. So without further ado, let me also share with you which of the key topics that I'll be actually covering today. So I'll touch upon who we are and what is UN-APCICT, and for you to know the UN-APCICT programs better, so that for anyone who has an interest to join the United Nations or a UN-APCICT in particular, that you can sort of match your career aspirations to what we are looking for as the organization to join. I'll also cover towards the end of the presentation my personal experience so that you can use it as one of the reference in adapting and looking into the future as to how you can shape your resume to suit to the UN and what we are looking out for. So, to begin, who we are and what is UN-APCICT? APCICT is one of the 5 regional commissions of the United Nations Secretariat. It is the largest of the regional commissions with 53 member states and 9 associate members across the region Asia-Pacific. Asia-Pacific is also home to 4.1 billion people, or 2/3 of the world's population, which explains the importance of the region. APCICT was established actually in Shanghai in 1947 to assist in post-war economic reconstruction. Thereon, the headquarters moved to Bangkok, as where we are right now, in 1949. In 1974, the name was actually changed to the current name, Economic Commission for Asia and the Far East Economic and Social Commission Asia Pacific, to reflect both the economic and social aspects of development. So the Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific is the most inclusive intergovernmental platform in the region. The Commission promotes cooperation among its 53 member states and 9 associated members in pursuit of solutions to sustainable development challenges. The ASCAP Secretariat supports inclusive, resilient, and sustainable development in the region by generating action-oriented knowledge and by providing technical assistance and capacity-building services in support of national development objectives, regional agreements, and the agenda for social and sustainable development. ASCAP pursues this objective by carrying out the work in close cooperation with other United Nations entities and intergovernmental organizations in the region in several areas. So the next we will look at is actually a little bit going into the details of what the ASCAP consists of. Recalling the mandate of ASCAP on the economic and social aspects of development, there are 8 programs of works as shown in the image, which also represents 8 divisions for any applicant who could be interested to join. Namely, there are macroeconomic policy and financing for development, there are transport division, statistics division, social development division, economic and development and energy division, ICT and disaster risk reduction division, and trade and investment innovation. So there are many diversity even in the program of works. Then one can ask, what about the public administration or the management functions? So apart from this, we call it in the UN jargon, substantive divisions, which are the 8 divisions that I covered in the earlier slide. There also are divisions with focus on public administration or the management-related functions. So in UNESCAP, the divisions, there are 2 divisions that are called Strategy and Program Management Division, and also the Division of Administration, which I'm heading. Given the vast coverage and diversity of the Asia-Pacific region, ASCAP's program also covers sub-regional activities for development strength, which commissions the presence and interventions at the sub-regional level in order to better target and deliver programs that addresses specific key priorities, including poverty reduction and sustainable development of member states in the respective sub-regions. So there are job opportunities out of the Bangkok as well, but in all these locations that our sub-regional officers and regional institutions are currently located. Then the real question comes in. Where do you apply and how do you apply? So in the UN Secretariat, where UNESCAP belongs to, we use one single portal, which is called UN Inspira. So when you actually log into the link that I actually posted here below, you can find various job openings that are in the global locations in all those offices away from the headquarters and regional commissions like us, ASCAP, that you can find the job openings. But we are very mindful that sometimes a big organization like us, it's very, very difficult to find a specific information, especially if you're looking for a specific location like Bangkok or the other sub-regional offices and regional institutions that we've covered earlier. And how do you look for that? So we've also posted the same information that are contained in the Inspira webpage, but targeting on specific job openings at ASCAP using our homepage, as you can see below link. So over here, you'll be able to find the current job openings at the ASCAP that you can actually take a look and then see whether those job openings match your portfolio. To help with the applicants, we also have some useful help link as shown here. After you check out the UNESCAP job openings, looking at the QR code here, or you can even go into checking out our LinkedIn page to look for the job opportunities, then one may ask, how do I start? So you can actually use some of the practical tips of the job aids that we have actually prepared. On the left side, you will see the PHP preparation. So what is then PHP? It's actually called Personal History Profile. In a very simple terms, you can actually equate that as a resume. So there is a specific template that we actually recommend in using for the job applications for the UN jobs. So you will actually find out how to apply and how to even create your job application using some of the guide that we are sharing here. Then after, hopefully, you pass the application first stage, then if you are shortlisted for the interview for a specific job opening, then you can also prepare using the guidance shared here to prepare for the job interview with the United Nations. So, with all that help and information, I think it's about time to focus more on what it means to be working at the UN. So to date, in my various interactions at both formal and informal level with the similar events like this, I have been approached by many audience or the prospective applicants that they were surprised to hear that there are more jobs in the UN than just the international relations or political affairs or humanitarian related jobs. Indeed, in the UN Secretariat, there are diverse job portfolios and what we called occupational groups. So there are economists, there are statisticians, there are public administration, there are finance people, there are procurement, engineering, medical, the list is endless. And also, in terms of the locations, we are a global organization. So there are many, many duty stations and many in the continents and even in the field missions, what you might have heard, the peacekeeping missions and special political missions. But also, all of these locations, there will be some specific mandate that each of the offices is going for. So that's how you can actually help by looking at your own resume and your interest and your experiences and matching which entity within the United Nations that you'll be interested to join. So as promised, and sometimes it's very much easier to look at someone who actually went ahead of your time to join the UN and to see whether such an experience will actually help in your shaping your portfolio, your resume, and even your experience as you build your career forward, and to see whether those matches your interest to join the UN, and then how you can actually prepare your career experiences as well as your job applications. So just to sharing some of my personal experience and how I joined the UN and how in the past 15 or 16 years of working in the UN actually helped me to reach where I am currently. So just as a past memory, I joined the UN in 2004 after, in fact, passing the national competitive examination, which is currently in today's term called Young Professional Program, YPP in short term. So I passed the exam and obviously some job interview as well in 2002 and 2003. And in July 2004, I joined the United Nations, but starting off as an engineering officer. So you may already be surprised that, oh, an engineer can also join the UN. So that's where I started. And firstly, in the United Nations headquarters in New York, in a department called back then, Department of Peacekeeping Operations. So obviously, as the name stands, I supported the logistics and engineering requirements in all of our peacekeeping missions. Then, after many years, because of my personal interest, but also as the job experience warranted, I was posted to the United Nations mission in Darfur mission when the conflict first happened. So that's how I actually then added on the field experience. And interestingly, when I was in the field and supporting the work of the field missions, there was some overlapping with the procurement division, which actually then caters to all of the contracts, international tenders, and to put out how to support the field missions. Then naturally, that moved my interest level to join the procurement division, utilizing my experience of engineering and previous experience as an architect to join the procurement division in a team called infrastructure support team. So from there on, then I shifted my further in the expanding my portfolio to have a lot of the corporate functions that are under the procurement divisions. Then thereon, with that additional experience built up, I then moved over to programmatic management as a special assistant to one of the Assistant Secretary General in the Department of Management. So there I moved, another functional move, but utilizing and leveraging my previous experience. After that, then because I've now added a specialty knowledge in the engineering, as well as a procurement, and as well as a programmatic management from the policy level, then I joined back the procurement division, but also taking on the managerial duty as one of the chief of section, heading some reform matters. And leveraging that experience again, then I applied and was successful in getting the chief of service job portfolio, but looking at and in charge of all the peacekeeping missions and field missions, procurement actions, and strategic advisory to the field missions. And after that, there was a management reform. So utilizing both my job experiences as well as taking some initiatives of the organization that built on and expanded my portfolio further. So that is how I used that expensive knowledge gained and expertise gained and experience gained to apply for a current job as a director of administration, encompassing all of these experiences in the current portfolio. Then many of you may be currently working in the private sector and not the institutional or the government sector, and may wonder, does it help to work in the private sector? Or do you have to work in the public sector or the government or the national institutions before you actually join the UN? Well, again, I mentioned earlier that in the UN, we are looking for a diverse job occupational groups. We are looking at the diversity in the experience as well. Some jobs may require very specific expertise, very specific experience. However, the majority of our job openings actually do require and is an advantage to have a diversity in your experience as well. So in my personal context, my private sector experience in terms of working as an architect, working as even a market analyst, and working as a research assistant, in fact, helped. And it helped me to leverage and widen my job portfolio. So just as a quick snapshot of what I did prior to joining the UN. So in my educational background, I was working as I actually studied as an architecture. Then in my postgraduate degree, I studied the urban design and some master planning and some sustainable design considerations and some conservation in the architecture as well. So obviously, in between my college and the graduate school, I also took up the part-time job as a research assistant. And that helped in especially building on the research skills, which then naturally allowed me to work as a research analyst, both combining the marketing experience, also building on my previous job experience working as an architect just before joining the graduate school. So that diversity allowed me to tackle more than just a very specific occupational group. And over the years, I also gained quite a substantial expertise in the project management. So when I joined the last private sector job, working in Singapore in an architectural firm, I was actually joining and moving within the private sector to take on more project management functions, more on the briefing to the government authorities, which then helped me to build a portfolio that the UN was looking for at the time. So once you are in the UN system, or in fact, even when you are in the private sector or prior to joining the UN, some of the experiences or some of the focal point experiences you have within your company or within the institution that you are with will also help. So that's what we called some of the competencies, some of the experiences, or some of the desirable criteria that you might find in the job openings that the UN posts for. So for example, they may be looking for your experience in the crisis management. So in my context, over the years, I have been actually building on in the job experience, and because of the functions that I play, but also because of the initiatives I sometimes voluntarily or as a job function requires take on. So for example, in the COVID crisis management experience that I built over the years, because of some of the related pandemic or epidemic related experience working with the Ebola crisis team. Prior to that, some of the Haiti earthquake crisis management team, or the Ebola crisis, as well as the other emergency operations management experience built on to the current portfolio where they are looking for the experience in the crisis management. And for example, we are talking a lot on the Sustainable Development Goals in the United Nations. So if you have any related experience, for example, working on towards the alignment of the SDG goals or the environment or the sustainability related consideration, those are all helpful. And if you see the job openings, you will find the keywords that they are looking for these kind of experiences. One of the big key themes that the UN, especially the UNESCAP, is looking for is innovation. We're looking for those with the innovative mindset, a creativity, and to think out of the box to allow us to do a lot of the transformation process, whether it's a business processes, whether it's a programmatic functions. So those kind of experiences you might already have or you're looking forward to might be helpful in joining the United Nations. Then, because we have a lot of the partnerships, whether it's a public sector or the private sector, so your experience in the partnerships, like what I did, will be also helpful. So, in closing, we took a look at what is the UNESCAP, and if you're interested to join us, and which are the job occupational groups that you could look out for. And when you are preparing for actual job applications, where you can get some help. And when you are luckily made it through the first round and be selected for the job interview, and how you can actually prepare that. And in your job interview, some of the experiences that you can actually elaborate could be referenced to my personal example as well. So with that being said, I wish you all the best. And when you actually get interested to join the UN and sharing the same calling as us, please remember the UNESCAP and then look out for an opportunity to work with us. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Jean-Luc Marcelin and I work with the United Nations Development Programme. And I work with the Office of Human Resources, dealing with talent acquisition, finding tomorrow's colleagues in the organization, and including young talent, but not only, all types of talent, because the UNDP has definitely a lot of entry doors along the way for promising talent who want to join the UN and the UNDP in this case. I have to apologize for my voice. I have a cold, unfortunately, today, so that's why I have a bit of a strange voice, and I may be coughing a little bit. However, it is a pleasure to be with you, even though virtually, and I hope that this session is going to be of interest to you. I'm going to share some slides in a split second. Before that, just a word about me. I've been working with the UN system for the past 21 years, starting in Asia, as it happens, in Cambodia, with the Office of the Resident Coordinator, and then continuing with UNDP most of my career, except for 1 year with UNESCO. My functions are dual, working in the Office of Human Resources, I deal, of course, with talent acquisition and recruitment activities. We identify new talent to the organization, but also communication and partnerships in the sense of doing some outreach activities, just like what I'm doing now with you, but also partnering with the donor governments or UN organizations or other entities in developing new programs and activities so that UNDP can remain as cutting edge as possible when it comes to talent acquisition. All right, let's talk in more details about UNDP's mandate and how to join UNDP with a few tips and advice when it comes to your application. I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully this is going to work out in a second. There we are. And as I was saying, working for UNDP and the UN is, first of all, working towards making a difference. Today's world is facing increasingly important challenges which can relate to pollution, climate change, diseases, unemployment, terrorism, and so on and so forth. Working with the UN is making sure that we're trying to find solutions to make a difference, to tackle these challenges all together, because we do not believe it is possible to tackle these challenges on its own. Unfortunately, issues know no borders in that sense. And I think the recent COVID crisis has demonstrated how important it is to do international cooperation on these topics. There are three main pillars in the UN. Today I'm going to talk about UNDP, of course, which is the third pillar, which is the development pillar. So what do we mean by that? Working with the UN is actually working from one of the many UN agencies or organizations that comprise the UN system. This sounds a little bit daunting, and I do agree that it is daunting. There are a lot of different entities, a lot of different agencies, and they may have different needs in terms of talent and also in terms of selecting the talent in question. For UNDP, which we'll be focusing on, UNDP is a funded program belonging to the overall umbrella of the General Assembly. So we are not a specialized agency. We are a program which has been created to tackle specific needs that the UN General Assembly has deemed important to tackle. The roadmap of UNDP, and not only UNDP, of course, of most UN organizations, relate to the Sustainable Development Goals. There are 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and UNDP is the leading agency when it comes to goal number 1, reducing poverty, or aiming at no poverty, actually, to number 13 on climate action, with a strong component also of clean energy with number 7. And then number 16 on governance, in the sense that UNDP is the leading agency when it comes to governmental governance and strong institutions activities in the UN system. We are involved in many other SDGs, which are listed here, but these are the main ones that UNDP is focusing on. Number 10, reduced inequalities, is of course a very important one for us as well. If you are not familiar with the SDGs, I would strongly recommend that you start from there, because this is definitely the entry door to the UN System Development Agenda. Now, joining UNDP is building a career with a global impact. I've already briefly mentioned the importance to tackle this world's challenges in a multilateral and as globally as possible manner. Joining UNDP means that you're going to take a direction in your career which will have a meaning for the people you're trying to support, but also for yourself. It is a life-changing mission, both for the activities you're implementing, but of course also for you as a person. What type of profiles do we need? UNDP is a leading agency when it comes to advising governments in implementing long-term policies with a sustainable impact towards sustainable development. And typically, we would advise one on poverty reduction, governance questions, energy and environment questions, but also related to crisis prevention and resilience to crisis, which have become an increasing issue, especially when it comes to natural catastrophes, which are increasing these days. And of course, gender, because gender is underpinning all activities in the developing world these days. The 6 signature solutions you see here are critical to UNDP's activities, and hence we're looking for experts on these topics. So whether you're an economist or someone specialized in rule of law or someone specialized in emergency response or crisis prevention building, or whether you're a gender specialist or an environmental specialist, there are positions in UNDP at all different levels, from a rather junior level down to expert level. We will come to the requirements in a second. In terms of workforce, UNDP is a large agency. We have 18,000 staff, basically located in all countries, definitely in developing countries and also many developed countries. And we're covering more or less all nationalities on this planet. You can see on this slide where our office is here. We are divided into 5 bureaus covering different regions. Sorry. And together with some headquarters units and some representation offices in various duty stations close to our key donors. There is in Korea, the Seoul Policy Center for Knowledge Exchange through SDG Partnerships. It's a rather technical office, which is based in Seoul, that you may be interested in. Now, I already mentioned making a difference when joining UNDP. You're joining a community of purpose. You're going to share some common values with your colleagues, but also with all the stakeholders we're interacting with. So there is really a feeling of working together for the greater good. This is very important because the path may be hard. It may be difficult sometimes to achieve these goals. And as a result, you need all the efforts, all the motivation, all the drive that you can to make sure that it is feasible. We also look for people who can bring some innovative thinking. It has become increasingly important to come up with solutions which are adapted to an ever-evolving world. As a result, yesterday's solutions may not be tomorrow's solution. So that next-gen thinking is quite critical when we look for talent to join the organization. So if you are interested in finding solutions to complex situations, UNDP is the place for you. The last item I wanted to emphasize here is the personal growth. Of course, joining any organization would bring you to gain more experience. So in that sense, it's not only for UNDP. But joining UNDP makes also you to grow both professionally and also personally, because you will be exposed to field situations, to beneficiaries who are in dire needs of support, or to governments who are very much willing to develop their expertise and capacity to better serve their population. It's really an exciting place to feel that difference that you're making and also to be impacted by it. I already mentioned the programmatic profiles. I haven't mentioned yet all the other profiles that are there to support the activities of UNDP. It can be communication officers, finance, human resources, procurement, of course, monitoring and evaluation, etc., etc. So even if you do not have the background that I've mentioned earlier in governance or in poverty or in energy and environment, there are still a lot of profiles that we look for and that you could be eligible to. So I would strongly encourage you to do some mapping exercise of what UNDP offers and what the UN is offering, because more likely than not, there is a job for you somewhere in the UN system or in UNDP, depending on your expertise. In terms of the profiles we're looking for, beyond the expertise itself, definitely passionate people. This is something I could not insist enough. But also people who are used or eager to work in a multicultural environment. You are being put outside your comfort zone in that sense, by having to interact with people from many different nationalities and also to work in countries which are different from yours. I find it extremely exciting, but it is also quite challenging at times, because you are challenged in your way of working and in your way of seeing the world. We also need flexible people, people able to adapt to new situations. And now I'm back to what I was saying about the creative thinking. In terms of requirements, this is a very important element to understand and remember. And this is not only for UNDP, this is across the UN system. Any vacancy announcements you would apply for would come with some requirements. And these requirements usually are educational and professional. If you do not meet the said requirements, you will not be considered for the position. The must-have requirements, which are listed in a vacancy announcement, must be fulfilled. However, there are also some nice-to-have or desirable requirements. These ones are actually not a must-have. In other words, you can apply even though you do not fulfill all the desirable requirements. So, must-have requirements, you need to have them all. Desirable requirements, it does not really matter how many you have. It's kind of a wish list from outside. And it could be that it's only one of these desirable requirements which is really going to be the most important one. That being said, the more you can fit to the profile you're applying for, of course, the better. When it comes to UNDP, having field experience in Africa or Latin America or Asia Pacific or anywhere else is always a good idea. So I would strongly recommend, no matter where you are in your field, at which stage of your career you are, I would strongly recommend that you make sure that you're gaining some experience on that topic, so that you can, when you apply, be eligible, but also be competitive against other candidates. Field experience is always going to be a strong asset. It can come from working for a non-governmental organization, for a bilateral entity, for other UN entity, even from the private sector, for example, on the non-profit project managed by a consulting firm. This is perfectly fine, but you need that experience to the extent possible. An additional UN language, in particular French, but also Spanish or Arabic, in addition to English, is always a good thing too. So if you have any linguistic skills and that you have some French or some Spanish or some Arabic, you may want to further develop it because it's always a plus, especially when it comes to French. Now, each job will come with some requirements, as I mentioned. And here you can see some of the typical requirements we're looking for in a UNDP position. Typically, a master's degree will be required. So I would strongly encourage you to at least gain a master's degree, and typically 2 years of experience after the master's degree will be required. So there may be at times some positions which would be open to people with less experience, and we will talk in a second about internship opportunities which do not require any experience. But most UNDP positions would require at least 2 years of job experience after the master's degree. There are many different types of contracts that you can use to join UNDP, and I've listed them here. I'm going to focus in a second on the internships, the UNV, and the JPO program, Junior Professional Officer program, because these are programs open to nationals from Korea. However, there are many other ways to get into the UN system and UNDP in this case, and they are listed here. I've mentioned some of the programs we're going to insist on in a second, but I just wanted also to mention that it's quite important to do a mapping exercise so that you know precisely what type of opportunities there are to you, depending on your expertise in the UN system and in UNDP. There may be some consultant rosters or some expert rosters you may apply for and be part of. It very much depends on what expertise you have, on your age as well. Now, talking about internships. Internships are totally decentralized in UNDP in the sense that each country office or hiring unit will advertise internship positions at times, and that you will have to apply for a specific position. All positions would be advertised on our job site. I will show you the link in a second. It's usually, internships are usually for 6 months, and you are eligible if you are in your last year of a bachelor's program, anytime in your master's program, or if you graduated from a bachelor or from a master's studies within 1 year. As long as you are into these three options, you are eligible. And I would encourage you to apply. Internship with UNDP are paid in the sense that you're getting a monthly stipend. It's not a huge amount, but it is definitely an amount. The JPO program is another excellent opportunity for Korean nationals to join UNDP and the UN. Every year, the government of Korea graciously funds JPO positions with UNDP, and these are positions which are usually require 2 years of professional experience after a master's degree. You need to be usually under 32 years of age, but there can be some slight variations depending whether you had to do, for example, your military service, this type of things. So you may want to double check with the Korean Ministry of Foreign Affairs what the current eligibility is. But it's definitely an excellent way to join UNDP. The UNV, United Nations Volunteers, also offer a lot of opportunities from young people down to very seasoned professionals with the expert volunteers, which requires 15 years of experience or more to gain valuable experience in the UN system. So I would strongly encourage you also to have a look at the UNV options online. Job opportunities in UNDP would be all grouped on the job site, which you can access by typing jobs.undp.org. I would strongly encourage you to have a look at the type of opportunities we offer, also because they do evolve over time, and it is important for you to have an understanding of where the career paths are taking an organization these days. so that you can also work on your CV and on your professional experience to make sure you stick to these trends. We also have a lot of presence on the social media, of course, so I would encourage you to follow us on the social media. That will also allow you to see what are the trends that I was just mentioning earlier, and to be able to better understand what we're working on. Now, when it comes to the recruitment process, this is not only UNDP, this is a rather classical approach that the UN system is taking. Typically, there would be a job opening that you can find through various means. It can be through our job site or through an external provider who will give you a daily digest of positions coming up, or through the social media. Then you would have to have an online profile in our recruitment platform, and you would apply online. Then your application would be assessed first by the computer, who would screen people who do not meet the basic requirements, and then by a human resources practitioner who would assess and further fine-tune the applicant list. Then there would be an assessment, which can include a written test, and then the last candidates, 3 to 5 for one position, will be invited for an interview. I have one last slide to share before closing this session, because we only have 30 minutes. And it's the importance to plan ahead. I have already mentioned the importance to keep track of how the job market is evolving in the development sector and in UNDP. But for sure, in order to be successful when applying for a position, you need to make sure that you build your CV and, of course, your cover letter in such a way that the employer, in this case UNDP, understands that you understand the position. In other words, if you want to work on whatever topic that UNDP is offering, try to identify some positions you cannot apply for today, positions which are more senior than when you are today, and look at the type of requirements, the type of expertise and experience we're looking for. And that allows you to build your CV in such a way that by the time you start applying, you have fulfilled all this experience and expertise we're looking for. There are many, many places online with examples of career resources. I'm just listing a few here. You can use Google, YouTube, whatever other service providers to find such examples of career resources with a wealth of information on how to join the UN and how to join UNDP. I will have to stop in a short while because we're reaching the 30 minutes threshold. I hope this presentation was of interest, and I wish you all the very best in this career fair. And I hope we will have the chance to be in touch at some point in a future conversation. I am also available on LinkedIn. You're more than welcome to join me there. All the very best, and thank you very much. Goodbye.
Hello and welcome to this special presentation by UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency. We are very excited to join this event with nationals of the Republic of Korea. So we hope that you will learn a lot about us in what we do to protect and provide assistance to people forced to flee. Before we start our presentation, let's get to learn a little more about one of thousands of employees and what they have to say, what she has to say about her role at the organization. This is a testimonial by Shirin Akhtar, Protection Officer from Bangladesh. She's saying, when I look to the future, I know what I want. For as long as I can, I want to be with UNHCR. Shirin is one of many employees who have a lot of dedication to the work that she does. And we hire individuals on a lot of types of contracts from a variety of backgrounds. From individuals coming from the affiliate workforce, like non-staff, including consultants, UNOPs, UNVs, and government secondees, to employees in general service, national officers, and international professionals. Together with partners and communities, we work to ensure that everybody has the right to seek asylum and find safe refuge in another country. We also strive to secure lasting solutions. Let's find out a little more about our mandate. For over half a century, UNHCR has helped millions of people to restart their lives. They include refugees, returnees, stateless people, the internally displaced, and asylum seekers. Our protection, shelter, health, and education efforts have been crucial, healing broken pasts and building brighter futures. Based on the 1951 Geneva Refugee Convention, UNHCR's core mandate is to ensure the international protection of uprooted people worldwide, people forced to flee. Now let's find out about the vision of the organization. The vision of the organization is a world where every person forced to flee can build a better future. When it comes to our workforce, with around 18,000 people, we work tirelessly to make a difference in the lives of people forced to flee their homes. The portfolio of UNHCR is quite vast and comprehensive to align with our efforts to protect and provide assistance to our persons of concern. But you may be asking yourself, how exactly do we do it? Our overarching goal, as mentioned many times, it's important that you think about that when you're thinking about UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency. Our goal is to protect people forced to flee their homes, and we follow three main pillars to provide support. Number one is responding with life-saving support. Number two is safeguarding fundamental rights. Number three is building better futures. If you want to learn more, just go to unhcr.org and click on what we do, the third tab from left to right on the top of the screen, so you can learn more about how we provide assistance and protect our persons of concern. Who we support? Who are the people forced to flee? It's really important as well that you understand the differences between the cases of the individuals that we support across the globe. We have multiple categories, and they're going to show up on the screen right now. The first one are the refugees, people fleeing conflict or persecution. Another category of individuals we support are the stateless, people who do not have a nationality and can struggle to realize their human rights. We also support asylum seekers, individuals who are seeking international protection. We also support internally displaced persons, individuals who seek safety in other parts of their own country. And returnees, people who have finally returned home. Where we work, as you can see, we are present in over 130 countries, and we go where we are needed most. Our workforce reaches close to 18,000, with 87% of them being in field operations and only 13% of them in headquarters locations. Why are we needed? We are needed because 1 out of 95 people on Earth has fled their homes due to conflict or persecution, and the situation is likely to worsen in the next few years. That's why the work of UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency, is more important than ever before. Here are some important numbers for you to keep in mind. As of 2020, 82.4 million people across the globe were forcibly displaced, with 20.7 million being refugees under UNHCR's mandate, 4.1 million people being asylum seekers, and 48 million people being internally displaced. When it comes to nationals of the Republic of Korea, we do have a total of 90 people as of 2021 in October, with 81 being female and 9 males. As you can see on the slide, we have about 19 P staff from P2 all the way to P5 and 2 directors in areas such as executive and management, external relations, finance, and protection. We also have 2 junior professional officers in the protection area, 7 national officers, 22 general service staff working in administration, external relations, communications, HR, and data management. And these individuals are across the globe, either in their own home countries of Seoul, but also in Kabul in Afghanistan, Bogota, Colombia, Amman in Jordan, Geneva, Switzerland, Kigali, Rwanda, and Sarajevo, Bosnia and Herzegovina. So it is really important that if you're considering opportunities with us, that you also be aware that as an international professional, you need to be open to rotating for opportunities across the globe. We're going to be talking about that very, very soon. Why work for UNHCR? We have a lot of videos, a lot of employee testimonials, and a lot of profiles on our site. If you want to meet our people, if you want to learn more about why they love working at UNHCR, check unhcr.org/careers and click on the Meet Our People tab. There, you're going to be able to see profiles from men and women across the globe from a variety of backgrounds who have developed entire careers at our organization by helping us support people forced to flee their homes. Our value proposition is based on working together to build better futures for people forced to flee. And we follow 4 guiding principles of humanitarianism: humanity, neutrality, impartiality, and independence. We also are committed to inclusion, diversity, and gender parity. So, when we're looking at people, we also are looking for people who fit a certain humanitarian profile. So what would this humanitarian profile be like? First, we are looking for people who are passionate about our mission. We are also looking for people who are willing to work in hardship locations. We are looking for people who thrive in diverse multicultural environments. There's more. We are also looking for colleagues who can bring innovative ideas, skills, and solutions, and colleagues who are determined to make a difference. So, if you want to ask yourself, do you have what it takes to be a humanitarian? It takes a lot, and it also takes compassion if you're determined to make a positive impact. It takes education when it comes to having specialist knowledge in certain areas of expertise. And if you're looking for international professional positions, you must have at least a bachelor's degree equivalent, also known as the undergrad or first level university degree. Obviously, a graduate degree certainly helps for other types of positions or higher level positions. We are also looking for people who have some experience to some extent. Maybe it's a great idea to join an NGO, other multilateral international organizations before trying to apply for positions here, unless you're applying for very entry-level positions or internship. A minimum of 3 years is usually required for you to be more competitive. We're also looking for individuals who have cultural sensitivity, since we work with people whose heritage and beliefs are different from our own. And very importantly, we are looking for people who are willing to travel. Aid workers often live at times in difficult conditions across the globe because we must be where our persons of concern are. In summary, what we are looking for: passion for humanitarian work, cultural sensitivity, willingness to serve in hardship locations, hunger for new ideas, and optimism that is contagious, resiliency, creativity, and open mind, as well as a minimum of a bachelor's degree from a UNESCO accredited university institution, relevant work experience and skills, and proficiency in English. We also look for individuals who may speak other languages, other official languages beyond English, such as Spanish, French, or Arabic. When it comes to our talent pools may serve as an entry point for specialists in the most sought-after functional profiles to help respond to urgent crises with the right skills. These opportunities could be at entry or mid-management levels. Selected candidates have the opportunity to work in different field locations, as well as the headquarters in Geneva or in one of our global service centers, as in Amman, Budapest, or Copenhagen. Talent pool candidates are primarily recruited for temporary appointments, so we encourage you to look at both the listing provided at unhcr.org/talent-pools.html, and you can see that on the screen, okay? And we actually hire in a variety of areas of expertise for these talent pools. Some of these areas are right there: ICT, information management, supply, protection, registration, shelter, livelihoods, field security, project program, administration and finance, human resources, communications, social media, web editing, WASH, physical site planning, cash-based interventions, and camp coordination. For you to find more information, take a look at the website under www.unhcr.org/talent-pools.html. We also offer career opportunities, starting from internships that may last between 2 to 8 months of hands-on experience to volunteer opportunities via the United Nations Volunteer Program. You can find out more at unv.org. We also offer junior professional officer positions for countries like the Republic of Korea that may be interested in sponsoring JPOs for people who want to start building their careers in the humanitarian sector. I've already mentioned the talent pools, and we also offer fixed-term international positions for people to work with us in the field or at headquarters, okay? We also offer opportunities within the affiliate workforce that may be consultancies, individual contractors, and individual contractors via UNOPS, as well as local opportunities such as general service staff, national officers, and field service positions as well. For you to find out more, just visit unhcr.org/careers. We want to run quickly the application process in a few steps. The first thing you need to do in order to find the positions is visit unhcr.org/careers. There, you're going to find a video on how to apply. It's going to provide you some specific information that's very important for you to consider so that you can put your best foot forward in creating your profile and submitting stronger applications. The next thing you need to do is to register your profile. Then you should select positions that match your skills and experience. The next step would be to complete the letter of interest, which is a very important step, and we're going to come back to that very soon to provide you a little more detail. Then you must complete all mandatory fields and then submit the application. It's really important that you understand that because we receive hundreds, if not thousands of applications for all the positions, we only contact shortlisted people, and UNHCR cannot accept applications that are not fully completed, and we do not charge any fees to process these applications. We run a competitive recruitment process that starts with the eligibility screening and shortlisting by recruiters, and those individuals selected by recruiters and hiring managers may be invited to take a test, a written test, or another type of assessment that would target the language and functional skills, technical skills. At times, all individuals who take the test are invited to complete an interview, or individuals who pass the test may be invited to complete an interview. This interview most likely will take place via video, and it's a competency-based interview. In the near future, we will conduct a webinar called Preparing for Competency-Based Interviews at UNHCR, and I'm going to provide you specific details on how to prepare. For individuals who pass the interview stage, there will be a reference check conducted for risk mitigation, and in the meantime, our recruiters will be in touch with you. For the selected candidate, he or she will receive an offer letter, and then they will be welcomed to UNHCR. This is just a very brief overview of the competitive recruitment process. As briefly said, we will conduct an entire presentation in the future. All you need to do is follow the UNHCR LinkedIn profile or the Facebook account, or even the Twitter account and the UNHCR Careers Twitter account to find out when this presentation will take place. When it comes to applying, we will also conduct in the future a webinar on optimizing your applications for UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency. But we do have a few tips for you today on how to actually stand out to the best of your ability. Number one is making sure you pay a lot of attention to the letter of interest. What is the letter of interest? When you are applying for a specific position, there will be specific questions about the skills and abilities, your background, and your fit for the position. Make sure that you highlight your talents, motivation, and experience. Show us why you are the right person for this particular job, and tailor your responses to the role you are applying for. And this is extremely important, particularly as recruiters and hiring managers will take a look at these letters of interest as well to make an assessment whether or not to move you forward in the process. Another important aspect is that you fill in your contact information. Enter your contact details carefully, as it will be used for all communication with you. And also indicate the country code as well as the private and an alternate email address to make sure that we can reach out to you should you move forward to the next stages of the recruitment process. Also, when it comes to education, it's really important that you show us how your education aligns with your career path. Mention the degree, the field of study. If you have publications, use links directing the recruiters and managers to your publications or to your profile on LinkedIn or another platform, and provide exact details on your institution and degree so that we can conduct our reference check purposes. Okay? Moving on with professional experiences, it's really important that you provide details as to how your past professional experiences make you a good fit for the position. So, highlight relevant experience, skills, and certificates. Also, show how your skills and competencies have evolved. How, for example, when you started in a role assisting to managing. List your part-time and volunteering work as well. And best of all, show your determination and passion for humanitarian work. When it comes to language skills, make sure that you indicate your mother tongue as well as other language skills and level of proficiency. And you can enter the information right there. Report other languages you may speak, and if you have any certificates indicating proficiency, you may add this information as per the instructions on the screen, or you would see the instructions as well as you are completing an application for UNHCR. By now, you must be asking yourself, what is important for me to know? There are a few things that are very important for you to know before applying. Number one, we work on the ground. As mentioned before, most of our staff are based in the field. Therefore, the vast majority of our opportunities are in field operations, with 42% of them in hardship locations, because that's where our people of concern are based. As you can see in the graph now, 87% of our employees are in the field, with 13% in headquarters locations or global service centers. So it's important that you consider as well that should you want to join UNHCR for a career opportunity at the international professional level, you must know that you must rotate across the globe eventually. And the number of years depends on the type of duty station that you receive your assignment for. We also highly recommend women to apply, particularly for positions across the globe and for mid-level and senior management opportunities as well. As I mentioned before, there is a mandatory rotation. International professionals change locations every 2 to 5 years. So we need you to be mobile and committed to go where you are needed most. We're coming to the very end of the presentation right now. Of course, there are a lot of other things that we can show you about our organization. So we highly suggest that you go and visit our profiles on LinkedIn by looking for UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency. You can also find us on Twitter by following the UNHCR account @refugees or the @UNHCR careers page. You can also find us on Facebook with UNHCR and on Instagram with @refugees. It's been a great pleasure being in touch with you. We're looking forward to seeing your applications. We highly recommend as well that you follow our recruiters, talent acquisition specialists, HR practitioners on LinkedIn so that they can share potential application tips and opportunities. And we are very happy that you are considering UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency, as a potential employer of choice. And thanks again for your interest, and best of luck as you pursue professional opportunities with international organizations. So from Budapest, we want to say goodbye, and we'll be in touch.
What I love most about working for UNICEF is the fact that we can intervene and do work all around the world. In the most remote area, we can make a difference for children.
I know my work contributes to something that serves a great purpose towards helping those who are most in need. And that's why every day at the office is something inspiring.
I wanted to work for UNICEF because it is the organization where you can make a difference in the life of children.
What I love every day when I come to work is the people I work with. I work with people from different countries, the diversity, and I learn so much about different cultures. That's what I love.
At UNICEF, you will work with dedicated and passionate colleagues to make a difference in the life of every child, delivering on the ground in 190 countries and territories, reaching the hardest to reach, the furthest from help. Our mandate inspires us to achieve results, to keep standards high, and to grow both professionally as well as personally.
What I love most about working for UNICEF is its people, the diverse culture and the energy level, and a chance to contribute to changing the lives of children in my very own small way.
Join us to make a difference for every child.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Anne Favreau. I am the Chief HR Business Partner in the Division of Human Resources of UNICEF in New York headquarters. It's my pleasure to address you and to participate remotely in your international career fair. UNICEF is a United Nations agency responsible for providing humanitarian and developmental aid to children and women worldwide. We are present in a wide range of countries, and we focus on several areas: immunization and disease prevention, treatment for children and mothers living with HIV, childhood and maternal nutrition, sanitation, education, emergency relief in response to disasters. Over the years, UNICEF has achieved a number of very good results. The organization has contributed to reducing child mortality, supporting quality learning for every boys and girls, reducing child poverty and shielding girls and boys from its lifelong consequences, working to reach children and families with life-saving aid and long-term assistance, empowering girls and women, and ensuring their full participation in political, social, and economic systems, co-creating innovative solutions that accelerate progress for children and young people. UNICEF staff are passionate, innovative, and committed to delivering results for children. And it's possible to join the organization across the world in many different duty stations through various means and contract types, depending on where you are in your career. If you are just starting your career, we have exciting opportunities that are tailored to entry-level candidates with little to no professional experience. Our internship programs targets students and recent graduates. It gives them the opportunity to gain direct practical experience with UNICEF offices worldwide. Volunteering is also an option. UNICEF works with volunteers primarily through the United Nations Volunteers Program. Finally, the Junior Professional Program is a government-sponsored program that provides young professionals with an exceptional opportunity to acquire hands-on experience with UNICEF. And South Korea is one country that offers this type of program. We also offer a range of challenging and exciting opportunities for staff that are more at the mid-level career and that are more mid-career professionals. So if you are interested, you can apply for any kind of jobs that we offer, and I would suggest that you started by reviewing the vacancy announcements, look at the different functional areas, the type of categories and levels, the contract types, and see where you fit in. UNICEF uses a range of assessment techniques to select their candidates. We use, for example, blended or technical interviews, presentations, written tests, exercises that are followed by extensive reference checks. Our career website contains a number of tips to prepare for this assessment. So I invite you to visit this site so that you can gain more information. I wish you all the best for your next step, and I hope to meet you one day in one of our country or regional offices. Thank you so much.
At UNICEF, we make sure you and your loved ones receive the resources and care that you need to thrive. Our contracts, benefits, and well-being policies ensure that you're well-equipped to effectively deliver for children. We offer a variety of contract types such as fixed-term, temporary, as well as consultancies for short-term projects. Mobility is required at UNICEF, and staff rotation across duty stations and regions is required for many posts. We emphasize effective performance management, focusing on supportive feedback for staff and fostering their professional development. We also offer family-friendly policies such as family leave, flexible working arrangements, and specific policies for female staff and mothers. We also have reasonable accommodation for persons with disabilities. All in all, our remuneration packages and benefits are in line with UN-wide salary scales, policies, and practices. Delivering for children starts with delivering for our staff.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. My name is Tanvinur Rahman. I'm a Human Resources Officer at the current time. I'm a national of Bangladesh. I started my career with World Food Program since 1992 as a program policy officer and a food aid monitor. And it was my first duty station, which was Sudan. And yes, from there onwards, I moved up all the way to Rome for a couple of years. And then I moved back again to Latin America, Bangkok, and in a country office in Uganda, Kampala, and back to Rome once again. So I have about 29 years of services with World Food Program, and I have really passionate about the work that World Food Program is doing, and I'm really passionate to work and with World Food Program. So as you know, we have the carriers that save lives and change lives in the World Food Program, and World Food Program is the largest humanitarian agency fighting hunger worldwide. And we are delivering food assistance in emergencies and working with communities to improve our nutrition and build resilience. As you know, WFP is funded entirely by donations from governments, companies, and private individuals. I would like to give you an update on our global presence. As you can see the globe, WFP is headquartered in Rome, Italy. We have a global presence that includes in 88 country offices worldwide. We have 6 regional bureaus like Bangkok, Cairo, Dakar, Johannesburg, Nairobi, and Panama. Each regional bureau looks after different country offices under their portfolio. We have 14 offices in world capital. Those are mainly called the liaison offices. We have also, WFP also employs about 19,000 people. Most of our employees, they are locally recruited staff working in remote areas, directly serving the hungry poor. I would like to just now walk you through the key facts about WFP. So with an average of 97 million people assisted each year, delivering food assistance in emergencies and working with communities to improve nutrition and build resilience. On any given day, WFP has 5,600 trucks, 30 ships, and 100 planes on the move, and they are delivering food and other assistance to those in most need. Every year, we distribute approximately 15 billion rations at an estimated average cost per ration of US $0.61. We are 100% voluntary funded by governments, the private sector, and the individuals, as I mentioned to you earlier. We partner with the national governments and other entities. So if you're looking at careers at WFP, as I mentioned to you, I started with WFP and I'm looking forward to retiring WFP, because what I have learned or have seen and the passion that I have every walk of life is that, WFP, we serve the people, and I want to put it this way, that we put always the people that we serve and people we employ at the center of everything we do. So this is the passion I have in me that helped me to build my career within WFP. I started as a food aid monitor, then I became a program officer, then I also moved to human resources. And now all throughout, ever since 2002, I am in Human Resources Division and working closely with all types of functional units across the globe. So talking about careers at WFP, we have different functional areas, such as finance and budget, we have information and technology, human resources, legal and oversight, partnerships and governance, communication, nutrition, program and policy, logistics and supply chain. This also includes aviation and shipping. We have monitoring and evaluation. We have procurement and security. So the jobs that are available, or a lot of opportunities available, are under international professionals, consultants and short-term professionals, junior professional officers, entirely funded by the governments of different countries, and internships. So in WFP, what are we looking for? The things that we are looking for is, first of all, the international mobility. We want to find candidates, those who have the ability to work as a team member in a diverse working environment. We have a multicultural environment, and we want people to work in different multicultural environment. So we would like to have people coming from a diverse working environment. We need people with the integrity, people who are fair, impartial, honest, and truthful. These are some of the core values that we are looking forward from a candidate. We also look for advanced university degree. Candidate has to be fluent in English language, because English is the medium of language here in World Food Program. Then again, you can have intermediate language knowledge, we call it level B of another official UN language, is either in Arabic, Chinese, French, Russian, and Spanish, or even Portuguese. So these are level B intermediate knowledge, but level C we are looking for only in English. But you have to understand that there are several positions or roles available in different parts of the continent. Like in Latin America, of course, language in your proficiency in Spanish is an added value. If you're working in Cairo, in our regional bureau, Arabic is very much essential. If you work in West Africa, of course, French would be an added value. So these are some of the requirements that we consider when we review the candidature. So when we talk about international professionals, the minimum requirements that we are looking for is an university degree or equivalent. You need to be fluent in English level, as I mentioned to you earlier, level C, and also an intermediate knowledge of another WFP official language, level B, is desirable. And the minimum years of relevant work experience by grade, we call it, we have, from P1 to P4. So P1 is the professional level 1. We look forward for 1 year. P2, we look for 3 years of professional experience. P3, we look for 5 years of professional experience. And for P4, we look forward to 8 years of professional experience. We also have a future international talent with fit pool. And this future international talent fit pool is a WFP initiative that allows for faster and more effective deployment of fixed-term international professionals, especially for positions critical to WFP operations. So prospective candidates can apply for announcements in a number of functional areas, and qualified applicant will be called forward and ready to be stationed anywhere in the globe. And there is a WFP website where we have all the announcement for the fit pool pools that you can get to the WFP website to find that out. Apart from the fit pool, we also have a JPO program. So JPO program is a UN system-wide donor-funded program. It is sponsored by national governments. Normally, JPO spend between 2 to 3 years with WFP working in the field, headquarters, or regional bureaus, and they gain a rich hands-on experience in different functional areas. Our JPOs receive an intensive training program, including mentoring and also coaching. The age limit, 32 years. Minimum 2 years of international work experience is required. Master's degree in relevant subject. He or she needs to be fluent in English and also intermediate level in 1 or more UN official languages. That is desirable. And these JPO program advertisements are done on our WFP donor websites. Apart from it, we also have the internship program. and internship possibilities in headquarters, regional bureaus, and country offices. And it is open to students or recently graduated. And this internship duration is between 2 to 8 months. What are the requirements to get into an internship? First of all, current enrollment in an undergraduate or graduate or recent graduation from an undergraduate or graduate program. It has to be within 6 months prior to the application to the internship program from a recognized university. The other requirement is a class attendance in the last 12 months of enrollment, and the interns must be fluent in English and also intermediate level in one or more UN official languages is desirable. And the internship program, it's advertised internally and externally on WFP website. So I would like to give you some tips and when you apply for vacancies with the World Food Program. First of all, carefully review the job description of the position. Try to adapt your curriculum vitae and cover letter to the specific position. Include in your international experience and mobility. In the application questions, try to be clear, concise, and to the point in your answers. And during the interview, answer your questions based on the CAR model, which is context, action, and results. And also I would add to it, if you can also look into our WFP 4 Ps, which is people, purpose, performance, and partnership. When you answer any questions to the panel interviews, please keep at the back of your mind the 4 Ps concept. Show your values aligned to WFP's core values. We have 5 core values. Please make sure that you align your answers to the WFP core values. Come prepared and don't hesitate to ask questions. If you don't understand a question, please ask the panel to repeat the question. So be flexible and try to be very clear and concise to your answers. So if you want to look for more information, try to stay in touch and on WFP website. We have different websites. We have one for the careers, for job openings. It's at www.wfp.org/careers. You can get through the LinkedIn. You can follow the World Food Program on LinkedIn for updates and opportunities. And you can also follow us on social media to keep us updated with WFP operations and activities. So you have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have Instagram, and we have World Food Program YouTube. So with that, I would like to wish you all the best in your future endeavors, and I'm looking forward to working with all of you. Please reach out to WFP, and I wish you all the best in your career hunt. All the best. Thank you very much.
Hello, everybody. Greetings from The Hague, the Netherlands, here in Europe. My name is Etienne Gouws, and I'm the Acting Chief of the Human Resources Section at the International Criminal Court. The ICC is pleased to join the 2021 Virtual International Career Fair, hosted by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Korea. It's not the first time that I join a career fair hosted by the Republic of Korea. In fact, in 2016, I had the opportunity to visit cities of Seoul and Busan, and in 2018, the new city of Incheon. I talked to students and young professionals about the International Criminal Court and all the job opportunities we could offer to Korean nationals. These were amazing events, filled with good discussions and exchanges, and I'm really pleased to be in touch with you again, even this time virtually. I would like to share with you some information about my education and professional background, and show you how my career path led to the position that I am occupying now at the International Criminal Court. As you will be able to realize by looking at my personal experience, there is no such thing as one size fits all when it comes to the path that leads you in a career in the United Nations system, and especially here at the International Criminal Court. We have staff members who started their careers as interns and visiting professionals and later progressed to staff positions. We have junior professional officers who remained at the court after the end of their JPO placements. We have staff members who migrated from other United Nations agencies and also from the private sector. Possibilities are endless, and there's certainly one that is perfect for you too. Also, many people think that the court only employs lawyers, but in fact, we look for highly qualified professionals from a wide range of backgrounds. We are a court, so we obviously need lawyers, court officers, investigators, but we also need professionals in support areas such as administration, communication, finance, or human resources, just like me. Getting back to my professional history, I was born and raised in South Africa, but I always wanted to travel and discover the world. After I completed my bachelor's degree in accounting in South Africa, I started my career in the United Nations system in finance. Later, I completed a master's in learning and performance management. I started at the ICC in 2006 in IT. I progressed to finance, and for the last 6 years, I've been in the human resources section. I've now been with ICC for 15 years. By sharing my career path with you, I wanted to show you how each experience that I've had helped me to acquire the skills and competencies necessary to my current position. Each project that I joined or task that I completed not only made me learn, but also served as examples in the future selection processes of what I have done and achieved. In the next presentation that will follow, we'll have the opportunity to learn more about what is the International Criminal Court, its mission and values, and how you can apply to join the ICC. You'll also learn about all the steps in the selection process to become a staff member of the court, and understand how to prepare for written assignments or for competency-based interviews. We'll also give you more information about our internship and visiting professional program and our junior professional officer program. I hope that you find this presentation enlightening and useful. It was a pleasure talking to you today, and we at the ICC look forward to receiving your application in the future. Thank you very much.
The International Criminal Court is the first and the only permanent international criminal court to try those accused of the gravest of crimes: genocide, crimes against humanity, war crimes, and the crime of aggression. It is located in The Hague in the Netherlands. The ICC was established in 1998. It was a historic step, reflecting the determination of the world to prevent the gravest of crimes and bring to justice those who have committed those crimes. The founding states signed a treaty, the Rome Statute. This established the International Criminal Court. Today, there are 123 states parties. The states parties provide funding for the court. They elect the judges, the prosecutor, and the deputy prosecutors, and oversee the way the court is managed. The ICC is a court of last resort. This means that it does not replace national courts and justice systems. It can prosecute individuals only if a state is unable or unwilling to genuinely investigate and prosecute crimes. The court has no police force or army, so it relies on the cooperation of states for arresting those accused of crimes. For fair decisions to be reached, the court follows clear legal processes. The court has 18 judges. They conduct proceedings in the courtroom. It is their job to ensure that trials are fair. Following a trial, judges decide whether an accused person is guilty or innocent. The Office of the Prosecutor investigates crimes and prosecutes individuals. It does not prosecute states. No one is exempt from prosecution because of their status or position. Amnesty cannot be used to avoid prosecution. During trials, accused people are presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. They are afforded a number of rights to ensure that proceedings are fair. Victims have the right to participate in the proceedings, most likely through a lawyer who will represent them in court. They can request reparations if the accused is found guilty and convicted. The ICC will continue to work with states parties, civil society, and communities to help prevent mass crimes. Together, we can build a more just world.
The ICC investigates and, where it's warranted, tries individuals charged with the gravest crimes: genocide, war crimes, crimes against humanity, and crimes of aggression. The court is an international organization based in The Hague in the Netherlands. The Hague is known as the political and administrative capital of the Netherlands. The city has developed as an international city of justice and peace, thanks to the presence of leading national legal institutions, as well as the International Court of Justice, the Yugoslavia Tribunal, and the International Criminal Court. The court is located close to the beach, and it employs around 1,100 persons from many different countries. When you hear of a court, it is often assumed that it's an organization for lawyers. And we do employ many lawyers. The court is a court and needs staff to support all the activities that happens in the courtroom: trial lawyers, court officers, etc. But the court is not only employing lawyers. In order to deliver its mandate, the court has different organs and therefore requires a wide range of professionals. In addition to the activities in the courtroom, we need investigators, security and witness protection specialists, country analysts, translators and interpreters. And like other organizations, the court also needs people working in areas such as finance, IT, communications, or in HR like me. So there are many job types, and every job is advertised on our website and using social media. When employing staff, we're trying to have a representation of all states parties, and we have targets for the number of staff we should have from each country. The Republic of Korea is a very important state party for the court and is underrepresented, and we would like to have more South Korean applicants for our jobs. If you would like to join us in our mission to create a more just world, then here's some information which may be relevant. All our jobs, or vacancies as we call them, are advertised on the ICC's website and on social media platforms. The job announcement contains detailed information about the organizational setting of the job, the functions you would be performing, which essential qualifications you have to meet with regards to education, work experience and skills, and abilities including language skills. It also describes the competencies we're looking for in persons working at the court. These vacancy announcements are long and there's a lot of information which is aimed at helping you as an applicant to decide if this is a job for you. If you're interested, then read carefully the section about essential qualifications. Some qualifications are required and they must be met. So if the job requires 8 years of professional experience and you only have 3, then this job is not for you, but there may be others that you qualify for. Other qualifications are labeled as desired or an advantage. It's nice if you have these qualifications, but if you have other relevant experience and you meet the profile, you should still apply. An example is language skills. We often require English and mention that French is an advantage. Many staff do not speak French when they're employed, so it might not always be a requirement for the job you're applying for. You will see a list of competencies which we're looking for in applicants. Overall, we're looking for people who are dedicated to our mission and passionate about creating a more just world. We want staff who are professional and able to use their expertise and find solutions. We want people who can work well in a team and with persons from all over the world and diverse backgrounds. We want persons who are able to adapt to change and help us get the job done. When you write your application, please ensure you provide all the required information. Especially, please provide details on your current and previous jobs so the recruiters can see which experience you have that is relevant for the job you're applying for. If you get shortlisted, you will often be invited to sit a written test. The test will normally be focused on technical skills relevant for the post you have applied for. If you apply for a job in human resources, you could be asked to describe an HR project you have worked on before. What were the project phases? How did you manage it? Here it is important to read the test instructions carefully. If you pass the test and are invited to the interview, you need to read the job notification again. And this time, think not just about the technical side of the job, but also the core competencies. Try to find examples that would show that you have the skills and the competencies which the court is looking for. Take the competency teamwork, for example. A question could be, please tell us about a time where you worked in a team which was dealing with a complex task against tight deadlines. How did you organize the work? What went well? What did not go well? What did you learn? It is important that you go through the vacancy announcement, and for each of the skills and competencies, you think about and prepare to talk about an example from your past. What have you done which could illustrate that you have this skill or the competency? All this may sound complicated, but it is a process, and you will take one step at a time. The first step is to apply, so please look at our website or on social media, and you can sign up to receive notifications when jobs in your area becomes available. In addition to our jobs, we have other ways you can join the court. The Republic of Korea is one of the countries participating in the court's Junior Professional Officer Program, or JPO as we call it. The JPO program is focused on young professionals who are assigned for a period of 1 to 2 years as staff members of the court. JPOs are completely sponsored by the governments. The recruitment process for JPO positions is managed by the sponsor country and the ICC, and all positions are advertised on the ICC's social media pages. If you are in the final years of your studies or just graduated and have less than 3 years of work experience, you can join us as an intern. If you have a degree and more than 3 years of experience, you could come as a visiting professional. Our internship and visiting professional program offers approximately 200 internships and 50 visiting professional placements each year. Places are across all fields the program operates in: law, HR, translation, social psychology, to name a few. The purpose of these programs is for you to gain transferable experience in a multicultural and international workplace, and the court itself to benefit from the input of interns and visiting professionals in its core goal to end impunity. Most program placements are between 3 to 6 months, and we hope that your time at the ICC will contribute to your professional development as you progress through your career. You can read about these programs on the ICC website. We also invite you to follow us on social media. All our new job vacancies are advertised on the ICC pages on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. We hope this presentation has made you interested in joining our team. We'll be waiting for your application, and we hope to see you at the court and work together with you in the future.
My name is Kyubin, and I'm from Republic of Korea, and I'm an intern in the Office of the Prosecutor of the International Criminal Court. What motivated me to apply for the internship is actually a long story. I've always wanted to work in international courts or international organizations, but I never had the courage to apply to one. And one day, one of the judges of the court came to my school and gave a speech about the mandate of himself and the court. And it was such an amazing story to me that it actually motivated me to apply for the court. And it's International Criminal Court. It's like the first permanent criminal court in the world. And there will be no better place to deepen my knowledge about international criminal law. The Hague is a beautiful city itself. But it's not only beautiful outside, but it's also beautiful inside. Like, what I mean is that it's beautiful culturally. It's culturally very rich. There are many art museums within The Hague, and that part of The Hague I find amazing. The difficulty I had to go through is definitely homesick. I want to be a better person, so that I can contribute myself to the court. So after I finish my studies, and when I become a better lawyer than now, because I'm a student, then I want to apply for a job here.
안녕하세요. OECD 인사부에 1년 반 정도 재직 중인 유채원이라고 합니다. 오늘 설명회에 참여해주신 모든 분들 진심으로 환영드린다는 말씀 드리고 싶고, 더불어 이번 자리를 마련해주신 외교부 직원 여러분들께도 정말 진심으로 감사드립니다. 이번 설명회를 통해서 저희가 크게 두 가지에 대해서 설명을 드리게 될 텐데요. 전반부에서는 OECD와 OECD 직원들에 대한 간단한 설명, 그리고 후반부에 더욱 상세하게 어떤 기회들이 있는지에 대해서 전달해 드릴 예정입니다. So, let's start the presentation about what is the OECD. OECD is an international organization that works to shape policies that foster prosperity, equality, opportunity, and well-being for all. So in short, we are a knowledge forum to shape better policies for better lives. OECD consists of 38 member countries, and our membership is currently growing. Along with our member countries, we also have 70 different partner countries, and this includes world's largest economies that participate in the OECD's work, increasing our relevance of policy debates. So summing up our member countries and partner countries, we make up about 80% of world's trade and investment, which shows our global reach over many different policy areas. Now on this map, you'll be able to see our member countries in blue and key partner countries in gray. We have 5 key partner countries. They are Brazil, South Africa, India, China, and Indonesia. The key partner countries also participate in the OECD's daily work and policy discussions which take place in each OECD body. Moving on to the introduction about the organization itself. OECD was born in 1961, and this year we're celebrating our 60th anniversary. In terms of budget, we are funded primarily by member countries, taking into account the size of their economies. OECD headquarters are located in Paris, France, and we actually have 2 office buildings in Paris. One is in the 16th district, and another one is in the outskirts of Paris called Boulogne-Billancourt. Along with the headquarter buildings, we also have different centers around the world. They are located in Berlin, Busan, Istanbul, Mexico City, Tokyo, Trento, and Washington, D.C. So unless the job positions are posted directly from the centers, you can expect you'll be working in Paris when you join the OECD. OECD also has 2 official languages. They are English and French. The candidates do not have to be fluent in both official languages. So if you are fluent in either one of them, you are eligible to apply for a position. And after you join the OECD, we also provide various trainings to improve your language skills. So if you are interested, there are many opportunities for you. Next is how we actually work. And the OECD follows a robust process during which we engage with multiple stakeholders, such as governments, parliaments, and international organizations. Looking more closely, we have 4 steps, and step 1 is data collection and analysis. The OECD provides the world's largest and most reliable database for statistical, economic, and social data. So by analyzing this data, we investigate an evolving pattern on various different policy areas. Step 2 is discussion and consultation. And we bring policymakers and policy shapers together in this step. So they exchange their ideas, share experiences, and forward progress along the process. Third step is standard setting and policy guidance. In this step, we encourage countries to develop internationally agreed standards so that everyone will be able to play by the same rule and cooperate more easily. The last step is implementation support, which only happens when the country asks us to. When there is a request, we help them to implement the new standards to their already existing policy works. Another unique feature of the OECD's work process is peer review approach. In the peer review approach, countries and experts examine the impact of policies of a particular country and look for areas of improvement on an equal setting. Moving on, we have more than 20 different policy areas, as you can see below. And for some of the examples, in corporate governance area, 48 countries adhere to the OECD guidelines for responsible business conduct. In development area, more than 1,000 regions and cities will be able to measure their progress on sustainable development goals using OECD guidance. And in education department, 600,000 students were evaluated in 79 countries as part of OECD's program for international student assessment called PISA test in 2018. For more information, we welcome you to visit our website, and there is a digital archive where you can find all the related resources in terms of specific topics or countries, if you would like. So if you're trying to find a specific report or material, we definitely recommend you to visit our digital archive. Next is about the staff members of the OECD, and we have 4 core values, which is to be bold, pioneering, open, and objective. Within the organization, our staff members are divided by each grade. And from A1 to A4, we call them professional staff members. And from A5 to A7, they are our senior management staff members. Next graph is on the average age of A-grade officials at the time of their appointment. So as you can see in the graph below, the average age of A1 level officials in the time of their recruitment is about 30 years old. And you can also get a general idea about how your career would progress within the organization. Next is the volume and representation rate of A-grade officials by their nationalities. We're located in France, so we have a higher percentage of French nationals, but I would like to emphasize that diversity and inclusion is one of the core values in terms of our recruitment. So we really welcome every candidate from all around the globe. Also, we do not have a specific quota system for any country, which means that anyone who is qualified for the position will be able to join the organization. So please do not hesitate to apply for a position if you think you are truly qualified, and we'll be looking forward for your application in the future. So this is the end of my part, and now I would like to hand over to my colleague Nadav, who's also working in HRM with me, and he will continue with the second half of the presentation.
Thank you, Chaewon. Moving to the next slide, we would like to discuss the different opportunities that the OECD might offer. So let's start with some figures about the recruitments that we had in 2020. If you see your screens here, you can see that we had recruited almost 300 officials last year, of which almost 200 were working in our policy analysis and advice job family. And you can also see that we had a very big recruitment of interns. This is a very big community at OECD. Last year was a special year because we recruited less than usual, again, given the situation around COVID. And in 2021, we actually recruited already more than 500 interns. Moving to the next slide, let's just start talking about how exactly we recruit. So when you're applying to the OECD, we require to have 2 main requirements. So first, you have to have an OECD nationality. You have to be a member of the OECD. Of course, Korea is one of our prominent members. So Korean nationals can, of course, apply and are welcome to do so. And the second is to have an excellent command of English and or French. In that sense, I would like to address the question around usually French fluency, because it's an often it's a question that we receive from different candidates asking us if they don't speak French, can they apply? And the answer is yes. We expect you to be fluent in English when you're applying, but after joining, we'll basically encourage you to develop a certain fluency in French. It could also help you in your daily life, especially if you're living in Paris. So those are the main requirements. Again, you shouldn't be concerned by the fact that you don't speak French when you apply. It's okay. If you're fluent and have a very high level of English, that's okay. So let's talk about some of the opportunities that we have through the next slide. So almost 90% of our vacancies are considered ad hoc. So those are opportunities that are opening throughout the year. Our recommendation is to actually set up a notification alert where you basically provide your input or profile in our website. And then when there's a vacancy that closely corresponds with your interest and level, then you receive an email alert and then just can click in on the link that you receive and see the full job description and decide if you want to apply. So that's actually the best way to keep an eye on relevant opportunities at the OECD. And for those regular recruitments, we're basically talking about the entire range of functions and positions at the OECD, starting from an assistant up to a directorate. So it could be the chief economist or the head of the tax center. So everything starts on our webpage. And again, we highly recommend that you sign up for email alerts to get to know better the different opportunities and job postings. And the second program I wanted to talk about is the Young Associates program. So this is a very interesting and unique opportunity that is currently only available at the OECD among the different international organizations. And I know that many of them are represented in the career fair. So the Young Associates is meant for those that just graduated from their bachelor degree and are interested in working at around different policy areas at the OECD. The program duration is 24 months. And after that, basically what we intend is for the young associates to start their master or PhD. When it comes to the requirements, you don't need to have a specific job experience, but you'll have to be available for, again, 24 months. You, of course, need to be fluent in one of our official languages, and you shouldn't hold or be enrolled to a master degree or a PhD. In that sense, I just want to mention that the applications for the Young Associates program for the 2022-2024 round will be opening in November 2021. So basically, in the course of the next few weeks. So we very much encourage you to keep an eye on our website. You can just Google OECD Young Associates and you'll find more information on our website, and especially when the vacancies will be opening. So just keep an eye on this opportunity. Moving on, we have an interesting program that is aimed at interns. So those of you that are fully enrolled to a PhD, master, or even a bachelor degree, and who wants to come to the OECD for a few months to do internship across the different directorates of the organization. The program actually is an opportunity for full-time students, and it could be also available for those of you that are not OECD nationals that might join this webinar as well. The duration is from 1 month to 6 months, but I would definitely advise you to be available for a longer period of time, because most hiring managers prefer those interns that can actually work with them for more than 4 or 5 months. So pay attention when you decide to apply. If you decide to apply, to be available for a longer period of time, because that will increase your chances. And the applications it's very important to note, are open throughout the year. So you can even apply at the moment. And again, the applications are available on our website. And once you apply, you're entered into a pool, if you're eligible, through which hiring managers can decide if they want to invite you for an interview and sometimes a written assessment. And the last program we wanted to talk about very briefly is the Young Professionals. The Young Professionals will not open this year, and just to give you a heads up, so you might want to look at our website for next year. And this program is aimed at those with a master plus 2 years of experience, or those with a PhD. So just keep that in mind for next year, for those that might find this relevant for their profiles. So we talked about the different policies. We talked about the people at the OECD. We talked about the different opportunities, but let's talk about the process. So moving to the next slide, you have a chance to see basically the different type of programs that are available for different people with different stages of their career. So for bachelors, as I mentioned, if you're a bachelor student, the young associates and the internship could be a good fit. If you have a master or PhD, we're talking about the young professionals, but also the regular recruitments. So this is a summary of the different events. So moving to the next slide, let's talk about the selection process. So as I mentioned, everything starts on our website. You need to apply online. We don't accept any kind of CVs or any emails with your CVs. Everything needs to be done through the OECD career webpage. And the next step will be basically the application. So this is something that you need to pay more attention to, because when you look at the share of those that go through the application stage to the first level of screening, then we see the biggest drop. So statistically speaking, this is the most, or I would say the most crucial part of your recruitment or the application stage. So you need to pay attention and self-assess when you apply. You also need to make sure that you provide all relevant details, including your previous work experience, including your academic trajectory, program, and achievements, as well as providing a cover letter where you actually make the link between your experience, if it's in university or in past employers, to the job that you're applying for. And in order to show us that A, you have the motivation and you have the experience and relevant competencies to contribute to the OECD. And the next step after application is screening. So we have what we refer to as self-recording interview tool. You receive questions through an online platform, and then you have limited time to respond. The best way to prepare for this and other parts of the selection process is basically read the materials that are published by the unit that you're applying to. So if you, for example, want to work in the Environmental Directorate, it's better to read the recent reports and publications, and everything is available on our website. We have, for example, the OECD iLibrary. So I would definitely encourage you to take a look and read some of the substance that were published by the hiring team before you start the application and when getting ready to the different interviews and written tests. So after the self-recorded interview, we have a written test. This is also done remotely. You receive an email with a few questions and you have to respond usually between 1 or 2 hours and then send it back. And here we usually measure your familiarity with the policy area through either case studies, it could be a question about recent challenges. So pay attention again that you'll need to know very well the terminology of the OECD as well as the policy area. And of course, we want to know that you are good at communicating in writing, because this is basically part of the work of the OECD, writing reports and recommendations. So you have to have good level of drafting skills, in English, of course. And the last part is the panel interview. So currently this is done also remotely through Zoom or Teams. And in that panel interview, you'll be asked 3 types of questions. First, about your motivation and past experience, as well as your potential contribution, so you can easily prepare for that. The second group of questions will be about the policy area. So if you're applying to the educational directorate, you won't be asked about tax policies. So you need to make sure that you really know the nitty-gritty and the substance when it comes to the work of the hiring team. And the last type of question is about what we refer to as core competencies. So we'll ask about your ability to handle different conflicts, prioritizing your work, communicating with team members, and be able to work in a multinational and multicultural environment. And of course, at the end of the panel interview, you'll have the chance to ask questions to the hiring team, because the interviewers will most likely be your supervisor or potential supervisor, another colleague, as well as people that are working across the house, if it's from HR or other directorates. And the last part, of course, is the offer stage. So I guess you know that in most interviews end with either don't call us, we'll call you, or in some cases, when can you start? At the OECD, there's also a third possibility, which is to be listed in what we refer to as the A-list. And the A-list is for those candidates that met the criteria and were found suitable, but were not chosen as a selected candidate. And this is a list that we keep for 24 months after your interview date, in case there's roles that are closely corresponding to the role that you applied for. And in that sense, we actually recruit quite a lot of staff members through that A-list, because there's sometimes roles that open up after a few months, and it also saves us and you some time, because this entire recruitment process takes usually between 4 and 6 months. So moving to the last part of our presentation, we talked about people, we talked about policies, we talked about the process. So let's talk about the life in Paris and at the OECD. So the work that we offer, and we can see that in the next slide, the working environment is very inclusive. We're trying to accommodate to the needs of different people. And if we go to the next slide, you'll see the different opportunities, including the possibility to have your career advancing when at the OECD, flexible working. At the moment, most of us are currently working from home, from different locations, but we started to gradually go back to the office as the situation around COVID in France is improving. But even before COVID, we had the opportunity to work from our home countries or to work from home throughout the year. So this is not something new for the OECD. And of course, we wanted to mention again the fact that we encourage you to learn new languages, mostly our 2 official languages, English and French. And we offer different courses, including a dedicated app for staff members that want to improve or learn a new language. So those are a few examples. If we move on to the next slide, we wanted to just highlight some of the elements that relate to work-life balance and generally the work environment at the OECD. So we have different associations, for example, GLOBE for LGBTIQ, DICE that improves or tries to accommodate for different cultural identities. We have the Intern Circle. This is a group that is created by interns for interns. They organize different events, brown bag lunches, and basically networking for interns at the OECD. And we have the Women's Network that offers a mentorship for young women by more senior female staff at the OECD. And we have different sporting activities, and of course, Paris. So we talked about policies, people, processes, And maybe the most important part is Paris, the fact that this city has so much to offer. Even if you're coming for a relatively short period of time, for example, as interns, we think that it's a great opportunity to be explored to a new language, a new culture, and a new city. So this is more or less the end of our presentation. You can find more information on the OECD in different social media outlets, so including on Facebook, YouTube, you have our LinkedIn page, you have the different OECD online resources that you can see on the screen. And of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us through the social media outlet that I've mentioned, and of course through our LinkedIn account. So thanks everyone for tuning in. And now I'll hand back to Chaewon, who might want to share a few more experiences from her personal perspective about working and getting to the OECD. Thank you.
Thank you, Nadav. And well, I would like to proceed in Korean because I think that would be more convenient for everyone. 제가 OECD에 대해서 알게 된 것은 2019년에 한국에서 주최되었던 국제금융기구 설명회였는데요. 거기에서 이런 다양한 어린 사회 초년생들을 위한 프로그램이 있다는 것을 알게 되었고, 그때 당시에 바로 지원을 할 수는 없었지만 1년 정도 저는 일본에 가서 일을 한 후에 그곳에서도 계속 어떤 오프닝들이 있는지 계속 지켜보았고요. 그 과정에서 제가 1년 동안 일본에서 쌓은 경험을 토대로 도전해볼 만한 것 같은 포지션이 열렸을 때 다른 프로그램이 아니라 아까 말씀드린 레귤러 오프닝에 지원을 하게 되어서 그런 루트를 통해서 OECD에 오게 되었습니다. 제가 드리고 싶은 말씀은 저도 처음에는 인사부와 직접적인 겹치는 경력을 가지고 있지 않기 때문에 가능성이 있을까라는 점에서 크게 고민을 했었던 것 같은데요. 자기가 해왔던 일들과 해왔던 연구들이 딱 100% 맞아떨어지지 않더라도 자기가 해왔던 것을 응용해서 이 직무에 적용시킬 수 있다는 생각이 드신다면 주저하지 말고 도전해 보시라는 말씀 드리고 싶습니다. Yes, this is my personal experience in coming to the OECD. I'd like to thank you everyone once again for joining in today's event. And Nadav, if you have anything to add, maybe?
Just thank you for everyone for joining us today, and we hope to receive many applications from Korean candidates to the different employment opportunities at the OECD.
Good morning and good afternoon. It is a pleasure for us to be here and present to you the United Nations Development Programme. My name is Geraldine Becchi, and I'm here joined by my colleague Manuel Brakaj. We will spend together the next hour, and we will speak about the program and how the opportunities that exist to become a United Nations volunteer. It's a pleasure for us also to be invited in this career fair organized by the government of Korea. And I would like to first start with introduction so that you know with whom you are speaking. We're also glad that it is an interactive session because we receive questions from your side. So my name is Geraldine Becchi, and I have been working for the United Nations since 2001. I actually started as a United Nations volunteer, and then my career progressed, and I worked with governance, I worked with disaster risk reduction, I worked in the topic of peace and conflict, and I'm currently a partnership development specialist within the external relations and communication section in United Nations Volunteers Program. But let me also allow and ask Manuel to please introduce himself so that you can also know who is my other colleague that joined us today.
Thank you, Geraldine.
My name is Manuel Brakaj. I work as Talent Pool Associate at United Nations Volunteers Program in Bonn, Germany. I'm very pleased to be with you today, and we will be explaining some of the topics on who we are, what we do. Just for background information, I've been working for the UNV program for the past 15 years. And before, I used to work for UNDP, United Nations Development Program. So welcome everyone, and I hope that you will find this session useful. Thank you.
Very good. So let's see a bit what is the program of today. What are we going to do? We're going to now share with you a very short presentation in which we will go through a bit what is the United Nations Volunteers Program, who are the United Nations volunteers, what are the opportunities to become a United Nations volunteers. And then we will also look at the questions that you have been kindly sending to us and answering those questions and hoping that we address most of your questions and concerns. And we will also provide you the opportunity to learn more about United Nations volunteers and how to interact in case you have further questions in the future. So with no further ado, let me tell you a bit about who is United Nations Volunteers. What is this organization? So we are actually an organization that was funded in 1971 by the United Nations General Assembly with the specific mandate to support volunteerism within the United Nations. What does that mean? Concretely, that means that on one side, we support member states of the United Nations to promote volunteerism. That can be through legislations, through studies, through supporting institutions. But we also provide to the United Nations in general highly qualified United Nations volunteers that support the entire United Nations system to achieve the goals that each agency, program, or fund has. So concretely, we are supporting the 2030 agenda. We are supporting all of the sustainable development goals to be achieved because, as you will learn later, our volunteers, they volunteer in all job categories, all the SDG, all the sustainable development goals. And, we contribute globally, therefore, to peace and development at the same time. As you can see in this slide, we have a goal. We have our goals as an organization. We want to be innovative. You see here, we have currently volunteers that have an age range between 18 and 84. So really, we get the new ideas, the season's ideas. We have really all profiles. And 84 is not really an end limit. If, for example, your grandfather or grandmother would like to volunteer, they may have an opportunity with United Nations volunteers, and they may also be 90 years old or 95 years old. There's no age limit in reality. But currently, we have a person with 84 years that is volunteering. We also want to be flexible, and that's why you will learn more about our categories for where the volunteers can volunteer, and also the job profiles. We want to be inclusive. We actually launched just a few years ago a Persons with Disabilities program, but we also have different volunteers that come from refugees. There are refugees or they are based in the community, so they're local volunteers. And obviously, we always foster the engagement of women. We are relatively agile, and we strive to be even more agile because we are one of the fastest entities in deployments. And we provide administrative support throughout the assignment to our volunteers. And we have very high satisfaction rates, actually, not only of the volunteers towards the organization, but UNV and how the assignment has been managed, but also through the hosting entities, so the United Nations agencies where they're volunteering, and also the satisfaction that the people get from their assignments. Here's a bit of a snapshot of how was the picture at the end of 2020. It was a difficult year the world was under the challenges created by COVID-19. So it was not an easy year. However, we saw a raising demand of volunteers, of United Nations volunteers. For the first time, we went over 9,000 volunteers. As you can see, almost 9,500 volunteers, many of which were based in countries because, as you can easily understand, it was difficult to travel. And as you can see, I mean, it was across the entire world. 158 countries were actually benefiting from the work of United Nations volunteers. A very important data for us is that 84% of the volunteers comes from the Global South. So they may be on international assignments, but, traveling from one country to another in the Global South. And also for the second consecutive year, more women volunteers serve than men volunteers. And as you can see, 52%. The average age is quite young, 34 years. But this is a mix, as said, it is between 18 and 84 years. So it's just an average age. And a lot of nationalities, as you can see, 168. Please, Manuel, the next slide. Thank you. Very quickly, let's look at what are the opportunities for a person that would like to become a UN volunteer. We have several categories. You may fit in several, or you may fit only in one, depending on what is your background, what is your nationality, what is your age and years of experience. Let's start from the most seasoned. The most seasoned are the United Nations expert volunteers. As you can see, they have more than 15 years of experience. So they have at least a master's degree. So this is very specialized professionals that decide to dedicate between 3 months and 4 years to volunteerism. I think probably the two categories that might be of most interest for you are probably next to the youth and the university. The youth is a category where we have volunteers that are between 18 and 26 years. If you are a Korean volunteer that is sponsored by your government, we have a bit of flexibility up to 29 years. You do not have to be a big expert because we recognize that a person that is young needs also to develop their skills, professional skills. Therefore, 0 to 2 years of experience are required. And the assignment may last between 6 months to 24. Normally, generally, the government of Korea has a 1-year assignment with the possibility, in some cases, under certain conditions, to have an extension. University volunteers are also young professionals between 0 and 2 years of experience, but they only serve up to 6 months. And you should be still a student in your last year or so, or a recent graduate. We also have the specialists. They are volunteers with a bit more experience, but yet not experts, so between 3 and 15 years, and they are above the age of 27. All of these categories that I'm telling you, they have national and international windows. Obviously, if you come, for example, from Korea, you will look at international assignments because we do not have national assignments in Korea itself. So, and just maybe a little note to mention that we also have online volunteers. This is a very informal. It depends on what is the specific request from the organization asking for the online volunteers. It can be a UN organization, but it could also be an embassy, it could be an NGO, it could be a university. It really depends. This is a more informal. Thank you very much. I will now leave actually the floor to Manuel, and he will go through the entitlements of the United Nations volunteers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Geraldine. So in this slide, we have tried to put together what are the main entitlements that international UN volunteers get. And it starts with an entry lump sum. The figures that you will see here sometime are around it, just to give for ease of understanding or reference. The entry lump sum helps the volunteers to settle in a new country and to buy those household items that are necessary for a modest but still decent living for the period of the assignment. Of course, that the UN volunteers program will pay the travel tickets, so to take up the assignment as well as on repatriation. A monthly living allowance that is somehow directed by the cost of living in a given country. And again, the point that I would like to make here is that the monthly living allowance of a volunteer is not to make savings out of it, but instead to help somebody live in a modest but still decent way. The insurance, medical, life, disability, and etc., annual leave, 2.5 days per month of service. Just so you know, the annual leave is across the UN personnel. Access to training platforms and programs. So our volunteers have free access to many LinkedIn courses, Rosetta Stone for learning a new language, as well as other courses that may be pertinent to the tasks and responsibilities that they will be having in the volunteer assignment. Home visit for long-term assignments. So just to give an example, for a non-family duty station, after 12 months of service with an upcoming 12 months, a volunteer is entitled to home visit. And home visit means tickets paid and leave given for this purpose. And a small amount that we call exit allowance, which is 225 per month of service, to allow the person to settle back in their countries of origin. And again, it's not a big amount, but maybe to pay 2 or 3 first rents until a more permanent employment is found, so to say. So as you can see, it's a modest package of entitlements, but at the end of the day, it allows the global citizen to dedicate time to a long-term, full-time volunteering with the United Nations. In the next slide, we have tried to put together the most in-demand occupational categories. Some of you may find yourself in these categories, some others not maybe, but I wouldn't want to discourage anyone because, as Geraldine already mentioned, we serve the entire UN system, and as such, we offer UN volunteers in a wide range of occupational categories. In this slide, it's only those that are currently in demand, and as you may agree, this list keeps changing based also in the different situations in the world. Like in the case of COVID-19, we saw an increase for healthcare professionals, as well as in case there are certain elections in given countries, the demand will be higher in that regard. Just to say a few words, the program project management, it's an occupational category that it's highly in demand because many UN agencies deploy UN volunteers in this category because their work also is based on different programs or projects. The public information is also a highly in demand category because all the UN agencies, sometimes they deploy UN volunteers to assist them in giving out those important messages when it comes to public information, to reporting and communications. And nowadays the communication is expanding in social media management as well, just so that it rings a bell with some of you that may be addressing your career in that regard. The healthcare sector, as I said, has always been in demand, more in the last couple of years because of the COVID-19 pandemics. The technology and engineering also is a highly in demand occupational category. Legal, political, and related. You know that we operate with the peacekeeping missions and within other UN entities that request for human rights officers, child protection, refugee protection, especially with UNHCR, and the rest that you can see in the slide. Regarding the registration process, you may have visited our website already to get some information about the program, and everything is online. There is no fee that is required at any stage of the application process from the moment of the registration till the moment of the taking up the assignment. I'm highlighting this because we are aware that there are certain scams that go around. So there is no processing fee at any stage of the process. It's a user-friendly sort of online registration that, of course, requires one to highlight what are the qualifications, the skills, and the experience. The schools of thoughts are different, but one remains equal when we are speaking about the process of application, which is a tailored application works much better than one application fits all theory. So just so that you may take it into consideration. The profile, of course, that you create with us should be visited and updated based on the opportunity or the assignment that you are applying. And definitely all the opportunities are advertised at our website, which you see in the screen is up.unv.org. We have tried to put some resources together for you in the Explore section. And whenever you have some time, maybe you can go to that section and read more about who we are and what are the specifics of our program. In this page, and this page will be shared with you as well through the organizers of this career fair, we have put together what we thought are some useful resources. So it starts with where are our current opportunities advertised, the web link. There is a series of coffee breaks with UNV recruiters where our recruiters give some insights and tips in terms of many topics of interest seen from the applicant lenses. Of course, we have a frequently asked questions corner that some of you may want to read at their free time, the conditions of service, as well as we are quite active in LinkedIn. We are using it mainly to give out information in terms of registration, application, and selection processes. And many of our opportunities are also advertised in our LinkedIn corporate page. So I strongly advise you to follow us there, as that could be a useful resources as well at the end of the day. So that was my presentation. Over to you, Geraldine.
Thank you very much, Manuel. So we have seen a bit what is United Nations Volunteers Program. We have looked at what are the categories that exist for volunteering. Manuel has kindly shared also about what are the entitlements, and at the same time also what are the most in-demand profile and how to register, and some tips on where to get more information in case you are interested in exploring the possibility to become a United Nations volunteer. We thank you for your attention until here. And now we're going to look at your questions, very interesting questions that we received, and we're going to provide some answers to them. We're looking forward to this. Okay, see you soon.
안녕하세요. 유엔사무국의 권홍석입니다. 이렇게 2021년 국제기구 설명회를 통해서 만나게 돼서 굉장히 반갑습니다. 코비드 때문에 영상으로 뵙지만 너무 반갑고 또 참석하게 된 것을 기쁘게 생각하고요. 이 시간이 빨리 지나가서 직접 만나 뵐 수 있는 기회가 있으면 좋겠습니다. 그동안 계속 건강하시고 또 하시는 일에 풍성한 열매가 맺기를 기대합니다. 또 이 기회를 통해서 이 설명회를 주관하신 우리 외교부께 감사의 말씀을 드립니다. 유엔사무국 설명을 위해서 파워포인트 프레젠테이션을 준비했습니다. 제가 그것을 화면에 쉐어하도록 하겠습니다. 잘 보이시죠? Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure meeting you all. And thank you so much for inviting me to this important international organization's career fair. Once again, my name is Hong Seok Kwan. I'm the Chief of Strategic Talent Management Service in the Office of Human Resources in the UN Secretariat. Let me briefly introduce myself before going into the UN Secretariat work and job opportunities. This is my 26th year working in the UN. I joined the UN Secretariat in 1995 through the National Competitive Examination, a currently young professionals program, after working in the private sector for about 4.5 years. My first assignment was in the Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific, ESCAP, and I worked there for 4 years and moved to New York in the Office of Human Resources. I worked in various areas of human resources management until mid-2017 and moved to UNESCO in Paris, France, as Director of Human Resources. I returned to the UN Secretariat in mid-2019, and as I said, I'm currently working as the Chief of Strategic Talent Management Service. It has been a very rewarding experience and would not trade for anything else. I still vividly remember the first day going into the UN building in Bangkok, Thailand, how nervous I was, and at the same time, how excited I was. It seems like yesterday, but I have enjoyed every moment of it. And even now, whenever I go to the office, I look up the UN building and remind myself that I work for the welfare of the people and peace of the world. Once again, I'm honored to speak to you today about the following topics. We'll go through overview of the UN global system, mandates and vision, and talent diversity at the UN, and entry career level job opportunities, and benefits and entitlements, and how to create effective online applications, and how to prepare for test assessments and interviews. And I will explain briefly about the UN talent pool. This slide should not overwhelm you, but simply to show you the scale of the United Nations system with its various principal organs and UN departments and offices, as well as specialized agencies, funds, and programs. The UN is a very large international organization, as you all know, and it's a network of many offices, departments, funds, and programs. My point of sharing this map is to broaden your scope and to show you that to look for jobs in the UN, it's not just the UN Secretariat that you should look for, but also other UN organizations. So to increase your chances of working in the UN, please broaden your search. There are so many different offices and specialized agencies, funds, and programs, such as the World Health Organization, the UN Development Program, UNICEF, Children's Funds, Food and Agriculture Organization, UNESCO, Education, Science, Culture Organization, and other various entities as well. The UN Secretariat carries out the day-to-day activities of the UN as mandated by the General Assembly and the organization's other main organs in the areas of peacekeeping, human rights, humanitarian affairs, and economic and social development. it has 193 member states. The Secretary General is the head of the Secretariat, which has over 36,000 staff members working at various duty stations globally. A bit more in the field than non-field duty stations, with a workforce composition of currently 60% male and 40% female. The UN staff members are recruited internationally and locally, and I'll be talking about that a bit more later in the presentation. The UN Secretariat is organized along departmental lines, as indicated before, with each department or office having a distinct area of action and responsibility. The offices and departments coordinate with each other to ensure cohesion in the UN program of work. The headquarters of the UN Secretariat, as you all know, is located in New York City in the USA. But the United Nations also has 3 major offices outside of its headquarters, New York, including Geneva, Nairobi, Vienna, and 5 regional economic commissions in Addis Ababa, Bangkok, Beirut, Geneva, and Santiago, Chile. Furthermore, 12 peacekeeping missions and a number of special political missions are also part of the United Nations, serving the cause of peace. Well, let's talk about what UN does, its mandates. So what is our mandate? The main mandate is the 2030 Agenda of Sustainable Development Goals, which includes 17 goals that were adopted in 2015 by all 193 member states to achieve sustainable development. We call SDGs. SDGs is, in a nutshell, is improving the welfare of global citizens in these 17 key priority areas that are provided in the slide. And the goal is to improve the quality of life for the world's citizens and engage in initiatives that will last forever and continue for generations to come. That's why it's called sustainable development. The idea is that by 2030, all of these priorities should be achieved. So it's a very bold initiative, and it's a partnership between UN entities, agencies, funds and programs, and governments, and other stakeholders, including citizens of the world. The next slide is a video on SDG goals, which was published in 2015. It will give you a good overview of what Sustainable Development Goals is. So let me share with you the video. Okay, I hope you are able to listen to the presentation very clearly. Otherwise, as the video indicated, you can go to our website and you look at it again. Now, to accelerate the achievement of the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goal, the Secretary General has published recently the UN Common Agenda, which provides key proposals across the 12 commitments, as you can see them on the slide. The whole report is also available on the UN website. It's an interesting read, so please visit and have a look if you have time. As you can see, our work is very broad and ambitious. We have a lot to do. It also provides a good basis for what kind of people and talent we are looking for. For those of you who thought that one needs necessarily a degree in international relations to be able to join the UN, we have good news. The UN is looking for a variety of skills, abilities, and knowledge, backgrounds, and experience in the functional areas you can see on this slide. Economic and social development, public information, logistics, IT, security and safety, legal, and science. These functional areas are categorized in so-called job networks, within which you can search for specific jobs. So for example, if you are a finance graduate or financial specialist, you can search for jobs in the management and administration network. Again, we are looking for diverse talent, which is key to effectively contribute to our global work and comprehensive agenda. Upon taking the oath of the office, the current Secretary General developed United to Reform priorities to improve the delivery of the UN mandates in 3 main areas: development, management, and peace and security. Nine of the 12 priorities of the SG's Secretary General's United to Reform initiatives reflect diversity and inclusion principles. You see them on the slide, and I will not go through them. As for the diversity and inclusion priorities, we are focusing on gender equality, gender identities, geographical representation, anti-racism, youth engagement, diversity of sexual orientation, people with disabilities, and neurodiversity. We are reflecting these priorities in various aspects of talent management, particularly in attracting, hiring, and retaining qualified candidates from various backgrounds with different perspectives and experiences, and to effectively contribute to the work on the Sustainable Development Goals. I want to briefly touch upon the number of applications from Korean nationals. We found that we received the most applications from Korean nationals in 2018. Interestingly, despite few applications, we had a better selection rate, a success rate of Koreans, about 0.81% in 2020 compared to 2019 and 2018. When we had 0.52% and 0.32% respectively. These percentages are based on the number of applications from Korean nationals. We also found that we received most applications from Korean nationals in the areas of development, political affairs, human rights, humanitarian affairs, and management. So as I said before, please broaden your search. It's not only about political affairs, human rights, humanitarian affairs for development, also about management, administration, IT, communication, security and safety. I want to briefly brief you on some of the non-staff opportunities. First is internships. We have a short video about internships, and let me share it with you first. Okay, thank you. I think the video was very clear. I didn't see any Korean interns on the video, but trust me, we do have many Korean interns working in the UN Secretariat. Applications for internships should be submitted online on our careers portal. The duration of internships is between 2 to 6 months. The remote working, given that we are still under sort of COVID protocols, is available. The starting dates can be negotiated with the managers. And as you saw, internships are available in various areas, in various departments and offices. Should have good language skills, good communication and interpersonal skills, analytical and the drafting skills. And applicants must be enrolled in the final year of the first level university degree or enrolled in the graduate school programs. We also have a UN Volunteers program, which is another interesting program. The UN Volunteer Program offers opportunities at every stage of the career path. 80% of UN volunteers fall under the specialist category with several years of relevant professional experience, and 10% are UN youth volunteers. We give a lot of emphasis on youth these days. Close to 10% of national UN volunteers, community volunteers, recruited from within the communities where they are expected to serve. The online volunteers complete tasks over the internet. Their involvement is informal, and they contribute to the work of both UN entities as well as NGOs, academia, and other eligible entities. you can obtain more information on the website of UN, the volunteers. As some of you already know and are familiar with, a key career program of the United Nations to address the underrepresentation or unrepresentation of member states, such as Korea, is the Young Professionals Program. And it is also a key program to enter into the UN Secretariat at the professional entry level. What is the Young Professionals Program? Okay, the video showed a quick overview of UN Young Professionals Program, how it works. Let me just go through quickly what the exam process is. The exam process is grouped into three main phases: application process, where you submit your application; assessment process, where you will be invited to written online exam once you pass the screening of your applications. And once you pass the written exam, you will be invited to an interview. So once you pass the interview, you will be placed on the roster, and when the vacancies arise at the P2 level, you will be contacted and recruited. For the 2021 exam, it is open to Korea, which is currently underrepresented, as I mentioned earlier. The exam will be in the areas of social affairs and statistics. The job openings will be issued for 60 days, and I believe the application period are likely to be open sometime in November this year. So please look out and visit our careers portal for the job openings to be issued. Just to repeat some of the important eligibility criteria, only on and underrepresented member states are invited, like Korea. There's age limit, 32 years or younger. So for 2021 exams, your birthday cutoff date should be 1st January 1989 or after. You just need to have the first level university degree. Experience is not required. However, many candidates who are invited to the exam do have a master's degree and some years of experience. Just for your information, you should be fluent in English or in French. Again, please visit the YPP section on our careers portal. It provides very detailed information, and you will be able to obtain very helpful information about the exam. And please follow us on our social media. Another important the program through which you can join the UN Secretariat is a Junior Professional Officer program. It's a program that provides opportunity for young professionals to acquire a few years of professional experience in the UN and also other UN organizations. They work in various departments and offices in the UN Secretariat. Korea provides JPOs organized by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Requires an advanced university degree and at least 2 years of professional work experience, language skills, and there's also age limit of 32 years, depending on which participating country. I do have one Korean JPO working in my team. It's great, very competent. She works very hard and contributes very well to the work of our team. Just to give you some information about the benefits and entitlements, employment with the UN comes with a long list of benefits and entitlements, depending on your in the contract types. For instance, internationally recruited staff get relocation, shipment, settling in grants, rental subsidy for a certain period of time. Staff members are eligible for allowances for their families, as well as education grant for their children. There's also a package of different types of leave that comes with employment, such as parental leave, home leave for international staff every 2 years. We also have a very competitive, health benefits, including insurance. Again, information is available on our careers portal. So if you're interested, please visit our careers portal for more information on benefits and entitlements. Okay, just to provide you with some information as to how to prepare an application and prepare for our evaluation process. As you know, all applications for the United Nations Secretariat job opportunities done online through what we call Inspira. This slide provides a quick overview of the application and selection process for regular positions. After creating and submitting an application for a specific position, you may be invited to a written evaluation or test, followed by a structured interview. After the review and approval of your evaluation by a central review board, which is sort of oversight body to make sure that the hiring managers follow the prescribed process in terms of screening of applications and evaluation of candidates, then you will be selected and notified if you are successful. Again, just to give you a quick overview of the process on application and process. We recently made a few changes to simplify the online application process, which I'd like to just take you through quickly here. Now we have reduced the application form it used to be a very lengthy form. I'm sure those who have experience in applying for our jobs in the Secretariat, I'm sure you know. Now we require a resume-style profile with the job-specific personal information. So, it has reduced the form greatly. We also require motivational statements in lieu of the cover letter. This helps applicants explain how a new job aligns with your overall career goals, how elements of your personal character and experience support your application. And, it basically avoids a duplication between the current cover letter and the content of the application. The work experience descriptions have reduced from 5,000 characters to 1,000 characters, and applicants have the opportunity to showcase their suitability by succinctly summarizing their main contributions in the past roles that they have held. These short entries complement the candidate responses to the job fit questionnaire. The job fit questionnaire are the questions that ask you to substantiate your experience. And the questions also ask about, your experience in some of the key criteria for the jobs that you apply. Based on your responses to the job fit questionnaire, your application may be screened out automatically by the tool. So it's important that you review the questions carefully and provide your responses very carefully. Applicants can demonstrate that they have expertise required for the job, without going down to the application with, irrelevant information. So you should be, very targeted in providing information about, your achievements, right? And also training, and any certifications that you have. And also, if you have any publications or professional licenses, you can provide them. But again, you have to make sure that whatever information that you provide are relevant to the jobs that you apply for. You also be required to provide references to allow hiring managers to learn more about, your skills, particularly managerial skills, if you are applying for positions with managerial responsibilities. Okay. I'm going to share with you, again, one quick, the video to explain about a candidate application in our recruitment tool called Inspira, as I indicated earlier. Okay, I think the video was very helpful. I'm going to share with you another video. As I mentioned, that responding to job fair questionnaire is very important. So I'm going to share with you a video about how to fill out the form on job requirements. Great. I hope the video was very helpful. And again, it's very important section, the job requirements. And again, you have to provide honest, but good responses so that your applications are progressed to the subsequent stages of the process. As I mentioned, most of the assessment in the UN now online, while still there are paper-based written tests organized by individual hiring managers. But if you are invited to the online assessment, you will receive a detailed instructions in an email message. The most tests are substantive knowledge tests, which test your substantive knowledge compared to the jobs that you apply to. How to prepare for successful online assessment is to study the job opening competencies and responsibilities that are provided in the job opening very carefully. Also read about the job network and job family, which is available in our careers portal, and search for official documents and reports published by the UN. Most of the important documents and reports are also available on our website. And, consider all you know about the job, and also imagine what kind of questions can be asked. You may be given information in advance. If so, then you have to study them well and prepare for the assessment. And practice, prepare answers to possible questions that you come up with, and get familiarized with also the time and the content and style and format. So those are some of the tips as to how to prepare for assessment. Again, most of our assessments are online, but there may be some, paper-based, don't mean, real paper, but you will get questions, in an email message, and you provide responses in a Word document and, send the document by email. Okay, once you pass the written exam, again, you will be invited to an interview. Let me just go through quickly as to how to prepare for interviews. Our interviews will be based on the competencies. Now our competencies are being revised, and we do have a new values and behaviors framework that replace the current competency framework. But we have not really decided as to how to replace the competency-based interview yet. We are still reviewing it. Once it is known, we will make announcement, and relevant information will be available on our website. So for now, the interviews will still be based on the current competencies you see on the slide on the right-hand side, the green box. Those are our competencies, and the values and behaviors on the left side and blue boxes are the new framework on values and behaviors. Again, we have not really decided as to how to change the competency-based interviews. So for now, the competency-based interviews based on the current competencies will continue. This is just to share the sample job opening vacancy announcement, where you can see the specific competencies were chosen for this particular position by the hiring manager. It is very important that you study, again, the job opening very carefully, functions, responsibilities, competencies, experience, skills and knowledge that are required. It's the first step for the preparation for the assessment and interviews. A few tips to prepare for interviews. Again, learn about the department and work it does. Again, the rich resources are available on our website and also on the internet. Again, review competencies as specified in the job opening, and you can think about actual examples for each competency of the competencies that are provided in the job opening. Think about your achievement in the past for each competency, because the competency-based interview will require to provide actual examples in the past for each competency. For example, the teamwork. Question may be that can you describe to us the past example where you had to work with a team member who was not very cooperative? What sort of actions did you take, and what was the result? Something like that. Or dealing with a difficult client, what did you do, and what was the result? Or for managerial positions, the past experience of dealing with the supervisee who had a bad performance. What sort of actions did you take, and what was the result? Or example of planning and organizing of an important event in the past. So you have to provide detailed examples in the past. So to prepare for interview, it's good that you think about examples well in advance and practice. Again, it would be good to structure your response in four sort of main elements. The first, you provide the context and what was the challenge, and then you provide the actions that you took to address the challenge and issues, and what were the results, and you always provide, what are some of the lessons learned, and what you will do differently when you face the same situation. So, those are the sort of, four elements that you should include in your response. Again, context, challenge, actions, results, and learning. Okay, we are coming to the final stretch of our presentation. Just want to share with you the recent initiative that we have undertaken to attract qualified talent. It's called the UN Talent Pool. It is an initiative undertaken by the UN Secretariat. It is used as a talent sourcing tool, not only for the UN Secretariat, but also for other UN organizations that are participating in this initiative. Once you create your profile will be stored in a database, and when the vacancies come up, including temporary opportunities in the participating UN organizations, including the UN Secretariat, the recruiters will go into the talent pool and search for specific talent, and they will contact you directly to apply to the opportunities that they have or the opportunities that are coming up. So, there's no guarantee that you will be selected once you create the profile, but it is a good tool that the participating UN organizations use. So, there's always, chance. So good to create your profile in the talent pool. You will be able to access it in our careers portal. There will be a small icon on the right-hand side, the bottom, and you click on it. It will take you to the process where you can create your profile. Okay, this concludes my presentation about the UN Secretariat and its job opportunities and different streams of job opportunities. And I want to thank you for listening. And for more information, please visit our careers portal, careers.un.org, and you can also follow us on the social media. And please sign up for the talent pool that I have just mentioned. Once again, I thank you for your participation in this great event, and I feel privileged to have met you through this event, and I wish you all the best in your career endeavors, and hopefully we can cross our path in the UN at some point. So thank you and all the best. Bye.
Wait, the career fair is not over yet. Please stay with us and watch the Q&A session, which can be found at the Korean MOFA's official YouTube channel. Also, for those of you who are interested in the UN Secretariat's Young Professional Programs examination, the YPP, please visit the UN Secretariat's career website. It's careers.un.org, careers.un.org. Or you can also visit the Korean MOFA's website, the International Organizations Recruitment Center's website, at UNrecruit.mofa.go.kr. UNrecruit.mofa.go.kr. Kamsahamnida. Kamsahamnida. Thank you very much.